I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Welcome everybody to the Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. This is your good friend Mr. BDA, flying solo for the moment. What a interesting performance we just had. Dylan Whyte and Alexander Povetkin getting it on in a rematch. Spoilers for anybody that hasn't watched the fight. And by the way, if you don't want any spoilers, and you probably shouldn't be listening to this podcast in the first place, but Dylan Whyte getting his revenge in what turned out to be a pretty dominant performance and a bit of a recreation of the first fight, except this time there was no Hail Mary shot from Alexander Povetkin. Dylan Whyte stopping Alexander Povetkin in the fourth round. Gets his revenge, gets back into title contention, or actually into contention with a big fight with the winner of Fury Joshua, or maybe Deontay Wilder, although I don't know if Wilder's going to win that. Listen, we're going to get to that as more people start dropping in here on the Discord. I'm going to be opening up the phone lines as well. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Straight G Turo, Mr. E, Dennis Nderitu, Jay Perez, Iceman, Paper Tiger, David 46s. Oh my goodness gracious, that's blasphemous right there, man. Let me tell you. Fight Scout, Cerny Banders, Iceman, E Porukwa, Michael Poe, and many more people to come. I'm sure, guys. Thank you for joining us. Well, let me tell you. The fight, like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe, fellas. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have a couple of shekels you could donate our way, you could certainly do so via the super chat feature. The most important thing is that you continue to like and subscribe, however. Spread the BDA gospel. Yeah, man, let me tell you something. Let me start off saying this. Povetkin looked every bit he's 40 years of age. He looked a little bit like he did in the first fight as well. Getting tagged with that jab, getting dropped. Very unsteady on his legs. His footwork seemed very David Lemieux-ish to me. But Whyte this time, the only thing he was doing better than the first fight was he wasn't eating the feints. He kept his composure, so good for him. He stayed tight. He was rolling with shots and countering with right hands. And this time, just Povetkin couldn't get out of the way of them, and he ended up tasting the canvas and getting stopped for the second time in his career. Probably the end of Alexander Povetkin as a top contender. You never know. And Dylan Whyte, meanwhile, gets his shot at redemption. It's interesting, though, because the winner of this fight, or the loser rather, was really light side for them. Povetkin, he had his shot at the big time, couldn't quite put the trigger when he took on Klitschko and Joshua. Whyte, same thing. When he took on Joshua, they were both prospects, so it's not the same thing. But now Whyte finally gets back into title contention. Although you get the feeling with him that it's just a matter of time before he ends up getting cracked again. Hopefully, if he does get cracked, he gets paid handsomely for it against one of the top guys in the division. Shout out to Recognize the Matrix, who just donated the super chat. And he says, Povetkin left his jab in Russia and was fragile as fuck. Shout out to Recognize for his contribution. And yeah, no jabs. He's been relying on that one shot at a time for a long time now, but now that he's old, he's slower, and he paid the price, man. So shout out to Recognize the Matrix. That's a good observation. We got Lobito, aka Gonzalo, in the Discord. Gonzalo, you there?
Hey, how's it going, Mr. BDA?
Good, man. Good. Hopefully everything's going well with you as well. And man, we just had a quite a performance from Dillian Whyte, closing the loop and putting an exclamation point on what was happening in the first fight. Except this time he didn't get caught. What happened with Povetkin though? Was it a case of Dillian Whyte doing good work, or was it a case of Povetkin just, in a sense, having baby deer legs throughout the whole fight?
Well, yeah, it's true what they say. The legs are the first to go once you get old. And this man, he's 41, maybe going on 42, and he looked really unsteady. He looked really unsteady on the legs. He couldn't settle down. Combined with some nervous energy, because you got a big, powerful man in Dillian Whyte coming forward, and that got to make you think, I have to get my legs under me if I'm relying on landing that counter shot that I did in the first fight, because, that's my best chance to knock this guy out, to catch him with that one punch. But if you can't get your legs under you and you got this big man coming forward, it kind of creates a little bit of a nervous sensation. When you're old and you don't got your legs under you, a combination of those two things, it doesn't allow you to get your game plan together and settle down the way you need to in a championship fight like this one of this caliber. And Dillian Whyte, I'm sorry. Dillian Whyte, he did look a little wild when he tried to go for the KO, I think like in the second or third round, when he tried, to say, I need to get this guy out of here because he is dangerous, although he is old. I need to get, rid of this threat. He started throwing like these haymakers. That's maybe why I said Wilder. But anyways, he's there to be taken. I'm not saying that he looked weak. He looked strong. He's a powerful man. He's got a wide back, probably the widest of all the heavyweights. Does he have a suspect chin? Well, he didn't get caught with any shot that would tell us, he's vulnerable. But he's shown vulnerabilities in the past. Povetkin got off the canvas. Should the fight have continued, they threw in the towel. It was a double whammy. The referee called it within 25 seconds for the round to finish. So could he have survived? I don't know. The fight got called, but it was a good performance by Dillian Whyte.
Yeah, man, it was an excellent performance. And hold on a second, because I'm opening up the phone list here, and I got super chats to read. But Gonzalo, you're right, man. It seemed like he was just looking for that one shot and trying to set his legs in there, but he didn't have his legs. And Whyte, one of the big things he did was he didn't buy the feints. That was about it. Everything else offensively, he was just doing pretty much the same thing he did in the first fight. Before we continue, shout out to Virtuoso, who says Povetkin looked like he still had the COVID or has the COVID. Yeah, shout out to Virtuoso for his contribution. Maybe Povetkin had ill effects from that cold. I don't know. Chris K, shout out to Chris K for his contribution, and he says Povetkin's legs look done. Maybe it's time to retire. Well, maybe he can still beat a couple of the lesser guys, lower top 10 guys or top 15, but against the top guys, I think he's going to have trouble. And by the way, just real quick, last thing, Recognize the Matrix said something interesting in the chat. He says, Whyte didn't bite for feints because Povetkin wasn't jabbing, causing confusion. That's an excellent point. You can feint all you want, but if you're not throwing shots, then eventually the other guy knows your feints are nothing but bluffs. And that's the problem with Povetkin. He was just looking for the overhand right and try to set up another left hook or left uppercut like the first fight. Yeah, go ahead, Gonzalo.
Yeah, I agree. The jabs, and also you could kind of see that why the reason he wouldn't bite for the feints, since Povetkin didn't have his legs under him. You could really assume that the shots that are coming are not going to be as powerful, and you can't really, if you're bouncy on your legs because you can't settle down. It's pretty obvious that you're not going to deliver your best shot. So I mean, I could see why White was able to pick up on that, man. He just didn't have his legs under him.
Well, I mean, that jab had something to do with it too, right? Kept him kept Povetkin off balance, kept him out of position. He was jumping in. You could tell that White was doing a good job of keeping him from the outside because Povetkin kept jumping in and getting caught with counter rights. It was indicative of a guy that was a little bit too eager to get in there. And even that's the problem with Povetkin. Even when he was on the inside, he was open for looping shots to the temple, and it just wasn't going to be his night. In the sense, I don't want to say he got lucky in the first fight, because if you throw a shot, you didn't get lucky. You created the moment. But in the first fight, it just seemed like he got the fortune of being able to land that shot. And now that White was looking for it, there was nothing really that Povetkin could do to him. He did land one good shot in the fight, but that was about it. Other than that, he got out-jabbed, outworked, and eventually knocked out. So, yeah, I think like people are saying in the chat, Povetkin's days as a top heavyweight are numbered. Meanwhile, White still has a little bit left to go here. Fellas, phone lines are open, so you can call in and give us your thoughts on the fight that we just saw. We're going to talk about the fight itself, and then, of course, talk about what's next for the winner. But, Gonzalo, just real quick, when you're fighting a heavyweight and he knows, you know, he's just looking for that left uppercut, right, White? What should Povetkin have done in this scenario? If at all he could have done anything, like what was he just looking for the one same shot again?
Well, I mean that's a big guy, you know. White's a big guy. He's powerful, so obviously he's going to be extremely dangerous in the first four rounds. Four rounds, yeah, I would say, you know, first half of the fight. Yeah, he should have utilized his jab. I couldn't agree more with what you said on the Discord and what Recognize mentioned. That was key, and I hadn't really noticed it until you mentioned it. The best thing would have been for him to utilize his jab, calm down on his breathing, gets his legs under him, settle down, and not only look for that one counter, but set it up with the good jab, you know.
Right. Yeah, he was looking for one shot, man. One shot at a time. Is like that can work against guys like Duhaupas and, you know, maybe even a guy like Takam. Although Takam, I think, is a good fighter. He's just too small for today's heavyweights. But yeah, he didn't look good, Povetkin. I mean, you got to give Dillian Whyte credit because he was doing the same, more or less the same thing that he was doing the last time, except this time he wasn't buying the feints and he was keeping the distance a little bit more. But Povetkin really looked awful from the first round on, off balance, stumbling around. I don't know. He just seemed yeah.
Could he have looked better? Could he have been like where it could have been a tale of two game plans, or of like once he would have like settled down and would have got that opportunity to get his legs under him and not even catch a second win, but get into the flow of things, could he have looked better? Possibly. But just the fact that he's facing such a powerful dude and he's old didn't allow him to find the momentum that he needed. He couldn't quite figure it. He tried, he got off the canvas. I mean, he really wanted to, and he got the experience to. Maybe he could have found something that he could have capitalized, but he just that's what Povetkin needed to do. I mean, correction, White needed to do. Jump on him. He did get a little wild. He could have got caught too, but I mean, that didn't happen.
Yeah, there wasn't much that Povetkin could do in this one. First of all, in the first fight, he looked more steady. Yes, White was essentially doing the same thing he was doing in this one, but he did look a little bit more steady on his feet, Povetkin did. In this one, he was just, from the first round on, stumbling around, just off balance, grimacing as if he was in pain or something. I don't know. It was a weird performance. Look, you got to give White credit for improving on what he did the last time, because in the last time, again, he was on his way to stopping Povetkin. It's just that this time he was really dotting his I's in there and not giving any openings to Povetkin. So, hey, listen, White did what he had to do, man. At the end of the day, you got to give him credit for not getting caught, if you could give a fighter credit for that, and essentially taking a top guy out of there. Povetkin, say what you want about the guy. He's old, blah, 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 but hey, he's still Povetkin. You saw what he did in the first fight. People in the chat room are saying that Povetkin looked awful, says Phone Jack. Mario G says something was up with Povetkin's legs. Oh, well. Chris Yakomine says he was caught with a shot early behind the ear. Yeah, I get the sense that that's what might have happened there, because he just looked awful with his equilibrium. Triple JJJ says his corner spiked his water bottle with vodka. Yeah, you never know, man. They took Povetkin's juice, says Jonathan Morrison. Friendly Fire says 2 times the pandemic tester lost right after recovery. Hearn wins again. Triple JJJ says Whyte is right again. All right, now, Gonzalo, one of the things that the narratives coming into this fight was Whyte can't get out of the way of uppercuts. Joshua stopped him with an uppercut. Rivas dropped him with an uppercut. I think Parker, too, even hurt him with an uppercut. And, of course, Povetkin ended up stopping him in the first fight with an uppercut. Has that Povetkin fight finally been a bit of a wake-up call? Is he now free from that dreaded uppercut? Or who else could catch him with those type of uppercuts?
A lot of fighters could, especially when he's going for the kill. He throws wide hooks, and he really puts a lot of force, where he telegraphs his shots. But I mean, they're haymakers. But if he catches you with one of those when he thinks he can because he got you hurt, that he goes for the kill, and you don't got the ability to fight back. I mean, a fighter's always dangerous when he's hurt. He can catch you. That's what Povetkin did on the first fight. So, I mean, Whyte does comport himself like that. It only takes a lot of experience, and I mean, he's a good fighter, but those things that he needs to work to even become a better fighter. No, but he could certainly hurt you. He can certainly hurt you and keep his boxing somewhat tight with the straight punches, and he doesn't necessarily get wide like when he lands his first shot. Only when he goes for the kill. So I mean, his best defense is his offense. To try to keep himself out of harm's way from people landing those uppercuts inside of his wide punches. Hey, don't get too overly crazy with your attacks. Fight like you did this fight. Keep yourself composed. Box behind the jab. Throw that right hand. And when you go for the kill, try to fucking keep your punches a little like tighter, where you're not getting so wide with them hooks. But credit, them wide hooks will knock you out, like I mentioned. They will knock you out. They will take your head off, and it takes a special fighter to be able to read in between those punches and catch Whyte. So can anybody do it? Not necessarily. Can the elite fighters do it that throw like nice shots like Joshua and a fighter that has fast hands like Reese? Yes, they can. So, I mean, he is in the elite level, a notch above the other guys that, we all know who they are, but he's in the mix. And credit to him because he took the fight again.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. There's a reason why you don't see Whyte scoring the type of one-punch knockouts the way Povetkin does, and I think that's because Whyte still slaps a little bit. It seems like his power is natural, but at the same time, you wonder if he could be not doing or scoring more impressive stoppages if he tightened up those shots. The other thing is this: Whyte still, like you said, the top guys can knock him out or at least stop him, and that's because Whyte still has that aura of weakness. He seems unstable when it comes to durability. Joseph Parker, it was a tough fight. He was working there in there hard, but it didn't seem like he was really pushing himself. And then by the last round, he seems exhausted, gets caught with a stupid shot, and is stumbling all over the ring, kind of like Povetkin was throughout this whole fight. So it makes you wonder, how far can Whyte make it? Because, I mean, you tell me, Gonzalo, would you favor Joshua and Fury over Whyte if they ever fought him?
Well, I mean, Whyte, he is dangerous because he is powerful. I can see where he gets his power. He's got a wide back. He's barrel chest. He reminds me like of a baseball player that hits a lot of home runs. I mean, he's that type of guy that's got a lot of power. But I think that's where I see his weakness, that he overexerts himself when he tries, because that's a lot of body mass to be thrown with force. So, I mean, it depends how he fights. If he can keep his boxing more composed and conserve his gas tank and picks his shots better, man, he will be dangerous throughout. I don't think that he necessarily has a bad gas tank, but he just throws with a lot of power. So he would always be dangerous, and he could always knock out a Cheney guy. Well, not Cheney, but I mean, Joshua has been knocked out before. I didn't mean to say that really, but he's been knocked out before. And Fury, he's been dropped as well. Fury's more of a smart boxer, but he's always going to be dangerous. He's always going to be right there, in the mix with these guys. Maybe he wins some, maybe he loses some. The ones he wins, maybe he beats one of the top guys. He's just right there.
He's right there, man. You're right. But it seems like his career will probably go the same way Povetkin's was when he was a little bit younger. He's getting good wins, but never really that A-side win that one of these guys always are always looking for. Shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, a victory for Dylan White supremacy. All right, shout out to Chris K, a.k.a. Undercover Asian. The other thing is this. We're looking at White, and he might finally get a shot. I'm pretty sure they're going to be very careful about who they match him up with. Because if he goes in there against another puncher, he could get taken out of there. And you know for a fact he wants his shot at the Fury Joshua winner. I don't know where he stands in regards to the sanctioning bodies. I don't follow that shit. So take what I say about that with a grain of salt. Maybe he's not in line for that fight. But look, he could probably also get in there with some of the other guys. I know Joseph Parker wants a rematch against him. That's the other thing. Joseph Parker, he doesn't really throw a lot of shots himself. The last fight, he fought a big dude, Gonzalo. So I don't really blame him. He was a little bit hesitant, but Parker's another guy that's the book on him too. He's the guy that does almost enough, but not quite enough to get himself that big win. What do you think? Rematch between Parker and White. How do you think that one would go?
I don't know, maybe about the same, because the one guy, Parker, he doesn't throw a lot of punches, but he's got a decent chin. So he'd be looking for White to get a little wild and start exerting some of his energy, and maybe down the stretch, catch him sparingly with the shots that he doesn't throw that often. But with that being said, he's conserving his gas tank, so he's probably going to try to gas White out and do a little bit of the same, where he can drop him, but not do enough to beat him, like you said, So obviously he's not going for broke in the beginning, because he knows Parker. He knows that White's dangerous. He's the bigger, he's the more powerful that hits the heart harder than he can. So I mean, more of the same. And if you're White and you know that the other guy throwing punches, I mean, are you really gonna want to go for broke and have the smaller man take you out later because the other guy's more nimble and maybe he has a little bit better of a defense and like that, So that's kind of like the same how it would play out. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't favor White to beat Parker, because I would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would think that things would go the same way, but again, White has that aura of his weakness, man. He seems brittle in a way. Not that anybody can knock him out cold, but he's been caught with some punches in there. Again, that's the heavyweight division, though. It's the heavyweight division.
I think it's like when he throws shots and he exerts all that energy going out of his body. Because when you throw a big shot, I mean, what happens to your body? You exhale, right? You get all that power goes out of you for a second until you get that blood back you get that oxygen back in your blood. Mm-hmm. And since he is such a big guy and throws with a lot of power, that's when he looks weak. And when down the stretch, when he starts getting tired and all of a sudden you hit him with the shot and he goes down, it's like the saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. I mean, I know he's just 6'4", but you tell me what other heavyweight is wider than Dillian White? He's got a white back, man.
Yeah, he's pretty wide, the guy. But again, it's interesting that you say 6'4" is small. Nowadays, it seems like it's on the average, because a lot of these top guys, Wilder, Joey Joyce, fucking Fury, Joshua, they're 6'5" and above. So it's interesting, man. That's the heavyweight division for you. White, though, he wants his shot. He's hungry for it. He's starving for it. And if he keeps his head above water, he might just get it. But for the moment, he's, enjoying this victory, maybe not thinking about the future that much, just enjoying this, the redemption arc that he's got. By the way, fellas, don't forget to hit the like button. And don't forget the phone lines are open. The number's right there in the middle left-hand portion of your screen. Call in. Don't be scared. All right, now, Gonzalo, boxing fans, we tend to complain a lot about, the heavyweight division stinks. These guys aren't as good as they were back in the day, blah, blah, blah. But I'm looking at the heavyweight rankings here, top 10 rankings from Ring Magazine. There's some interesting matchups. Everybody in there has some flaws, which to me makes these matchups entertaining and competitive. First of all, we got Alexander Usyk, who's one of the dark horses of the division. People are still wondering why he can pull off. Starting with Usyk, based on how he looked against Chisora, do you think that Chisora fight, first of all, do you think that was a bit of an aberration? Do you think he actually ended up looking good considering that Chisora went in there motivated? And how do you think Usyk would do against Whyte?
Well, that's interesting because that Derek Chisora guy, he's also a big guy, also very big. I don't think as powerful of a puncher, but more of a volume type of guy that, he presented Usyk with the style that Usyk is the guy that, will try to confuse you, change the angles, and he himself would be like a volume guy against bigger guys. But this guy presented a size and volume. So, I mean, facing a bigger guy where you have to push his body off of you and, and you're not necessarily, if you're Usyk, you're going to get him out of there with one shot and you got to wrestle with him like with that type of style. And then the big guy's throwing a lot of punches. Yeah, that's a tough fight. And was able to still figure him out and deal with the big guy. But, White's a big guy, but with heavy hands, with a lot of power. So he'll be really, really dangerous for the smaller man in Usyk. Could Usyk get knocked out? I haven't seen him get knocked out. This guy was unified cruiserweight champion. And a lot of guys, when you haven't seen the guy lose, but this is just a little bit of a different story because he's moving up in weight and he's yet to be tested because he's been plagued by injuries. But when you haven't seen a guy lose, it's very hard for people to conceive and refuse to accept that maybe, this guy could lose. Obviously, he is the smaller man. Dillian Whyte is the bigger guy. But, Usyk is very technical and Whyte does get a little wild. If he can knock out Usyk, I mean, I can see Usyk doing a number on him, but it's always that X factor with the power. And White's got the power, man. He's got the power of all the elite fighters, like in Joshua and Deontay Wilder, but there are vulnerabilities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a good point that you made about Usyk. Like when a guy hasn't lost, it's hard to picture how he could lose. But in the Chisora fight, I think we saw a little bit of what could trouble him. First of all, the size, the bulk of Chisora was substantial, and you could tell that Usyk was having a little bit of trouble keeping them off him, at least in the early rounds when Chisora was firing at full speed. And also, one of the things that worried me for Usyk was that he was eating a lot of jabs. Contrary to popular belief, Usyk is not a big mover when it comes to head movement. He stands pretty. You know who he reminds me of, Gonzalo? He reminds me of Winky Wright, but with a little bit more foot movement. He's very straight up. He chooses to block shots more than anything. Yeah, he'll slip here and there when you least expect it, but for the most part, he's not exactly Canelo Alvarez in there. So if Chisora was out jabbing him in some parts of the fight, can you imagine? Do you think Whyte could exploit that with his own jab?
Yeah, I think that Whyte throws a stiffer jab, and he likes to use his jab to maybe set his offense to where he can throw the hooks. He utilized it well in this fight. I think Chisora, just the size alone, and that he doesn't put a lot on his jab, but he throws it kind of like a pity patty jab, but pity patter jab. But just the fact that he's a big guy, he can do that because when he's facing the smaller man, he doesn't really have to be worried about, getting behind a Whyte stance with your legs and keeping that shoulder up and keeping your elite hand half extended to where you can pump it like traditionally, like the correct way that you need to throw a stiff, long jab. No, he's big. He's a big guy that will usually go in there against, like he did against Usyk, and just pity pat. And what do you do when you pity pat? You're not putting full force. Therefore, you're not overcommitting, you're not wasting your gas tank, and you're waiting for the other guy to punch back. So once the other guy punches back, you're the big guy, you could punch again with more power. So that's got to be pretty frustrating. It's very easy for somebody to have that approach facing a boxer like Usyk, because I'm gonna throw these little shots to make you fight me. But then again, you don't have that big of a punch that I have to be scared that if I'm just throwing these little shots and just punching off the cuff, that you're gonna really hurt me or knock me out. So that's the pressure, just the size alone, and the fact that he's just very active, active throwing them jabs in Chisora. That's what kind of kept Usyk from really like figuring him out, because Usyk's not doing any correction. Chisora's not doing anything extraordinarily fundamentally sound to be from the outside, pumping that jab to keep it to where sometimes you can read that jab, although it's a powerful, you can read it. No, he's just getting up on his chest and letting his hands go. And that's kind of hard to, you would think that that's an easy way to get away from punches, but this is actually pretty hard. But what helps him out, that he's big, right? That he's big.
So do you think Whyte could have more success than Chisora with that jab, but at the same time, his stamina might not hold up?
Throwing that heavy jab, then Usyk, moving like in changing the angles, pivoting, and pop shotting Dillian Whyte will fluster, in the fact that Povetkin throws with a lot of correction. Sorry, what the fuck am I talking about? That Whyte throws with a lot of power. He can start, might be getting frustrated and tired, while Usyk might be finding his mojo. And you know that those guys, once they know that they got a foothold on the fight, they will take it from less to more. The Ukrainians, like the Usyks of the world, right? They'll start getting their timing down. They'll start knowing that, oh man, I might be the smaller guy, but I'm landing. And once you start changing the angles and you start getting a little bit of momentum around your shots as you hook and as you throw the 1-2 forward and create inertia, pushing your jab and your counter, the 1-2-3, man, you're starting to punch harder. So I see if down the stretch, Usyk, he can create the momentum behind his shots once he starts getting landing his shots. You never know, but once he starts landing his shots, he might beat a Dillian Whyte.
Well, he'll need to land shots in there, because we know his foot movement is pretty good, but the name of the game is hit and not get hit. You gotta hit the other guy. So against Chisora, he did hurt Chisora a little bit in there, but I don't know, for the most part, I expect a little bit more flash. So it would be interesting to see him against Whyte. Then again, Whyte is probably now gonna push for a big shot against one of the big names, possibly Fury or Joshua. In the chat room, yeah, go ahead, Gonzalo.
It's just a little bit of a tricky situation, and I quite don't fully know how to explain it, or I'm not saying that I fully understand it. But when you're not throwing your full shots with power, but you're a big guy like Chisora, at the same time, I guess you're not throwing with heavy force. That as you breathe out and you exhale the oxygen from your blood, you're not leaving yourself vulnerable, because you're just throwing half-hearted shots. But those half-hearted shots allow you to throw more shots in volume. And just the size alone that you're that big and you could take a punch must be pretty frustrating as a fighter that Chisora comes forward and is able to smother the smaller man in Usyk. It's like the fat kid in the elementary school that you fight against. Like he might be in the 6th grade and you're in the 4th grade, and he's big and fat. And your punches, as you punch him, they're not going to hurt him. And you get frustrated while he still keep coming forward. Something like that.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting, man, because somebody in the chat room, Matt, says he thinks Luis would beat Dillian Whyte. Do you think Whyte could go the distance against Luis and beat him, or do you think Luis eventually takes him out of there?
That's too much to wrap around my brain right now, because
well, okay,
yeah, Luis has showed a good chin, but he's got dropped, and I'm not gonna say he has an iron chin. I'm not gonna say he really has an iron chin, and Dillian Whyte's a big puncher. He does have fast hands, man, and those fast hands. If he catches you, I'm not saying they're gonna knock you out with one punch, because he couldn't even do that against Joshua. It had to be many shots, 2-3 times, many combinations to where the guy kept getting off the canvas 2-3 times, and eventually the fight got stopped. So he's not really a knockout puncher, but he will bamboozle you with shots. Ruiz will, and Dillian Whyte doesn't have the greatest of chins, but he can also get caught, man.
Exactly.
He can get caught.
Yeah, that's it. See, this is what I'm telling you about the heavyweight division. Is there's a lot of interesting matchups because everyone has glaring flaws. For example, if we go to Usyk's glaring flaw, well, one of them is he doesn't move his head enough, and in the Chisora fight, he didn't really let his hands go that much. Rivas too short for these heavyweights, and he's not a one-punch knockout type of guy, so That's his problem. Michael Hunter, I don't really know his problem is, other than maybe his size as well. And but he's pretty crafty in there. He's pretty crafty. Ruiz's problem, he's not very active. If you dance around him and you don't go crazy jumping on him, you don't give him the chances to land shots on you because he's mostly a counterpuncher. Other than that, and he's a smart dude, but again, his work ethic and his activity rate ain't the best. Same thing with Joseph Parker, activity rate not the best. Luis Ortiz, he's 50 years old. Dylan White, the chin. Povetkin, well, now he's no longer number 3, I don't think. His age and his stiff legs. Deontay Wilder, well, he can't fight backing up. Joshua, maybe that chin as well and that stamina. And Tyson Fury, well, you never know when he's going to quit boxing and start, I don't know, becoming a fisherman or something. I mean, there's just a little something for everybody to exploit in there, for everybody, Gonzalo. Do you think this heavyweight division that makes it more exciting, or do you want one like Mike Tyson type character who can beat everybody and establish himself as the number 1 guy in the division? What do you prefer?
Well, it's wide open. It's wide open and it makes for interesting fights. So, I mean, may the best man win.
But my question is, what would you prefer? Would you prefer a guy like Tyson who dominates everybody, or do you like the situation we have now where it's pretty open for interpretation?
Can't really say. I just want somebody to show us at 2021, one of these heavyweights to show us what boxing is all about, and and set the standard, and become one of those fighters that can be respected, going back to like the prior generations, to where, I mean, everything in sports. Well, I'm gonna speak about boxing. You're supposed to have it to where, like, nowadays everything is evolving and everything is supposed to be getting better, but it's a hard thing to say when you're taking punches. So any man, whether it's now, in the future, or like in the past, you could get knocked out, man. Somebody that's gonna be active in training and putting in the work, and just show us why he's the best, but these fighters gotta fight. They gotta fight each other.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. They have to fight each other, and again, with the whole promotional division going on, it's kind of hard for some of these fights to happen. But at the end of the day, you expect these fighters to. There's still a lot of good fights to be made despite those obstacles. Shout out to Mr. E for his contribution with the super chat. He says Povetkin showed shades of smoking Joe Biden. Yeah, he should. He certainly seemed to stumble in there, like as you know. Povetkin was Biden and White was the stairs. And Povetkin just couldn't handle them. Shout out to Mr. E for his contribution. Don't forget to hit the like button, people. Hit the like button. Really helps us out, and it only takes 2 seconds on your part. Don't forget the phone lines are open. Oh, and speaking of phone lines, we got a phone call here. Let's go to it real quick. 207, you're on the air. 207, what's on your mind?
Hey, this is Mad Chad calling in. Much respect to you guys. Everybody hit the like button and subscribe to this channel because it's very entertaining and they got their ear to the pavement. These guys know what's going on. Much respect, BDA.
Mad Chad, let me ask you, do you read off a script or is that just all of that is just off the top of your head?
I'm starting a channel tomorrow, BDA. I have my friend. I'm going to make a debut with an ex-fighter that fought against Chavez, Chavez Jr. and fought against Kid Chocolate, fought in Russia. The kid's been around. He's going to be my debut tomorrow.
Nice.
I'm going to, try to get going on. But I got to give you the respect for the way that you're just pushing this beautiful sport that we all love, BDA. This is the sweet science, and you got your ear to the grindstone. And you let everybody come on. You let everybody come at Stu. Poor Stu. He takes a lot of abuse up there, but he'll give it out too. You know what I mean? He's a good counterpuncher there, Stu.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are great for the sport. Everybody's listening, and I know I follow Twitter a little bit, and they check in on Twitter. You guys listen to worldwide, BDA. You guys just aren't listened to up here in New England. You guys are, see the shining sea across the pond to the Ukraine. I think they even have internet in, Honduras. You know what I mean? There is part of Honduras and Nicaragua that has internet. And definitely tune in to BDA.
All right, well, thank you, Matcha. Thank you for the ringing.
Could I still talk, or will you shut me off?
No. Thank you. Well, first of all, I'm saying thank you for the ring endorsement, but I don't react well to praise So I got to give you a little credit too, because you're a viewer, a listener, and you're the people that keep the world going around. Boxing, you're a boxing fan just like us, so I got to give props to you as well. Now I'm curious to get your thoughts on this whole Povetkin Whyte rematch. What happened there? What was your impression of that?
Oh my God, I'm still fucking dazed and confused from Teddy Cheeseman. He's off the gambling addiction. He went in there. I think he's at the hospital right now with Metcalf. That might be fight of the year. Those two went at it like a fucking, I mean, they were like two pit bulls, like Michael Vick pit bulls there. They were fucking animals. Much praise to Metcalf and the big cheese over there. That was one hell of a fight. And then we segue right into this Povetkin fucking Whyte fight. Oh my God, were they out there slugging. But yet again, I tell everybody, the hands of time wait for nobody. You know what I mean? And Whyte was dominating that first fight. He got clipped. He don't even remember what the fuck happened, but he just watched the film. He went in there with an edge. He went in there with the Hagler on his fucking uniform saying, Hagler, I said game fucking over. The minute you gather that Hagler mentality, which all these fighters have to fucking gather, which is that Hagler mentality, because you have to overcome, you have to fight the best, and you have to, no one's going to be in your corner, it's you against the fucking world. And I loved it when Dillian Whyte respected the marvelous Marvin Hagler. He even had some AC/DC, I think, thumping in on the fucking intro. That was some good stuff. Utmost respect to Dillian Whyte, and I don't think Deontay Wilder's going to fight Dillian Whyte. I think he's been avoiding that fella for a long time. Dillian Whyte's a heavy hitter. But I got to tell everybody right now, my favorite heavyweight in the world is Andy Ruiz Jr. He has legs the size of fucking redwood fucking trees out in California. This kid is on the Reynoso diet. He's hanging out with Canelo Alvarez. This kid's a beast. He's the number one heavyweight in the world. I'm telling you right now, this kid's on a different mission. He keeps off those Snicker bars. He keeps hanging out with Reynoso, and he keeps pushing the weights. This kid's a special animal. But at BDA, I have to say, utmost respect to Dillian Whyte, utmost respect to Ted Cheeseman, and Campbell Hatton had that nervous energy tonight. But he brought it. I like Campbell. I'm a big fan of Campbell Hatton, and I'm a big fan of Gary the Diva Cully from Ireland. Gary the Diva. I love it. He's rolling the Diva. He says, fuck it, I am the Diva. Yeah, Diva, you got tattoos all up and down your ass, but he is the champion of Ireland. Gary the Diva Cully's coming for all the lightweights of the world because he's the Diva. He's coming across the pond, and he's going to wreak havoc. He is big. He is long. He is the Diva. He is Gary Cully. Thank you, BDA. Have a great night, brother.
Thank you for calling in, Matt Chat. Another great call from the Matt Chatter himself. That never disappoints with his phone calls. Let me tell you, always brings a lot of energy. I hope I have as much energy as he does when I get to his age. Let me tell you. Gonzalo, he made a good, interesting point. He said he was talking about Marvin Hagler. As soon as I'm asking the question, Gonzalo leaves. Don't forget, fellas, phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. The phone number is right there in the... Actually, yeah, it's in the middle left-hand portion of your screen, and it's also pinned in the chat. So be sure to call in. Don't be afraid. I'm all here by my lonesome, so you should call in and keep me company. Hold on a second. Give me 2 seconds here because I'm getting some messages here. Oh, shit. Okay, so we got Gonzalo's... I gotta hold on a second. Give me 2 seconds here. Gotta call him back. And don't forget, fellas, call in. But it's interesting. He was saying... Oh, actually, you know what? Let me get Gonzalo in here first. Okay, Gonzalo, you there? All right. Well, he'll be back. I wanted to say something interesting. Matt Chat said, well, more people need to harness that Hagler energy. And I agree. More people should. But that's why Hagler was special. Because not everybody has the type of work ethic and heart that he had. If everyone had it, everyone would be an all-time great or close to that. That's what I'm saying about this heavyweight division is there's a lot of holes in these guys' games. In their, whether it's their work ethic, their activity rate, their power, their size, this division for the most part is wide open. I mean, we talk about Tyson Fury, and I've been saying it for a while now. Tyson Fury, he beat Wilder, and all of a sudden everybody jumped on the Fury bandwagon, but Wilder is essentially like an Antoine Eccles type fighter, except he's a heavyweight version. And beating that type of guy, okay, it makes you good, but it doesn't necessarily make you the best. He still has to get past Anthony Joshua for that. Gonzalo, you're back?
Yeah.
Well, listen, Matt Chad made the comment that more people should harness that Hagler energy. But if everyone could do that, then there would be no more special fighters. You know what I mean? Like that's what made Hagler special, was that he distanced himself from everybody through his work ethic, his heart, and his skill. Going back to that, when it comes to the heavyweight division, everybody seems to have their weaknesses. Wilder, for example. Some people were mentioning Wilder and Whyte. I don't know if that fight will ever happen, but if it does happen, let's say it's the next fight, who do you think wins that one?
Wilder, and you mentioned Fury?
Whyte, Wilder and Whyte.
Oh man, that fight should have happened 3 years ago, but Wilder was scared to take that. He never really tested himself, only against a fighter like Ortiz, which was pretty predictable because he's slow and ponderous. He wasn't going to have enough on his shots to, where Wilder was not going to see like the punch come and anticipate that and, knockout. It's pretty predictable. He even made another rematch with a man like that. But with Whyte, that power, because he is kind of explosive. He is explosive. He's not necessarily slow. And man, he throws powerful shots. That's a dangerous fight for a Wilder. And he never took that. And he went MIA. Wouldn't even take sign the contract for this fight against Fury, who's not really known as a power puncher, right? So credit to Whyte and the Joshuas of the world who are taking these immediate rematches and testing themselves, because they're these guys might all be vulnerable in a way, but in this game it only takes a little bit to separate you and make you special. And you might find that specialness inside of the gym or by testing yourself in these tough fights, that when you turn around and fight again, you learn something from the Povetkin fight. You bettered yourself. And if you go MIA like Wilder, you're not bettering yourself. You're only in denial. So it only takes a little extra. And if you're doing it by doing the business and taking these rematches and working in the gym, perfecting your craft, these are the guys that are going to be able to become better.
It's a great point, man. Yeah, that's what I've always said about these fighters that think, I can just take my time here, wait, take a little break, and eventually I'm the missing link. Everybody's going to want me back. The world continues turning, whether you're retired or taking a break or nursing an injury. You got to get in there, man. Wilder, they offered him the Charles Martin fight. The rumor was that he wanted an 8-figure payday. I mean, come on. He needs to get back on the wagon, as it were, and go for it, man. That's a good point, Gonzalo. These guys, they're egomaniacs. By the way, we got Bucho on the Discord. Bucho, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, fantastic. Now, Bucho, what were your thoughts on the Whyte Povetkin fight? We were already talking about it a little bit, but you made a good point that the only thing that changed here was Whyte not getting caught with that punch. Essentially, you believe that things would have gone the same way in the first one, right?
Yes, sir. I mean, Whyte was winning the second fight.
Wait, hold on. You're sounding very low. Do you have line in activated?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you gotta get rid of that.
All right, better.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, Povetkin was winning. Sorry, Whyte was winning the first fight, and then he got caught. And I thought, in the rematch, if Dana White hurts Povetkin, I think he should just go for it and try to finish him. And in a way, that's what I want to do in this fight.
All right, Bucho, you're sounding muffled, man.
Okay, fuck.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with your volume, man. Maybe if you restart your PC, man, that'll work out here. All right. Well, listen, the point is this. With, what's his name, Wilder, yeah, he seems to think that the world revolves around him. It doesn't, right? That's number one. But if he does fight Whyte, I still maintain that 100% Wilder can still knock out anybody in this heavyweight division. That includes Anthony Joshua. Again, you need to stop underrating, and I do say you have to, all right? People are saying, BDA, you tell me what to do. You got them right. I'm telling you what to do. That 1-2 from Wilder is still one of the fastest combinations out there in the heavyweight division. Most of these guys can't seem to get away from it. Now, that's the other thing, is people were always saying, well, Povetkin would have an easy time with Wilder. Maybe a prime Povetkin, but a 39-year-old version, the 40-year-old version, the one we saw today as well, I don't think so, man. He can't get away out of a jab. You think he's going to get away from a 1-2 from Wilder? A long 1-2? By the way, we got Jimmy on the Discord. Jimmy, you there?
What's going on, brother?
How you doing? Thank you for being on, man. The chess pieces continue to move in this heavyweight division. Whyte did what he should have done in the first fight, or at least what seemed he was going to be able to do before he got caught. What do you think about Whyte now? What are his chances? Do you think there's still an aura of weakness there for?
No. Oh yeah, no. He got knocked out by an old man who should have been put away earlier. And Povetkin looked like an old man tonight. He was softer than he was the last time in there. He looked slower. Yeah, even the slight rocks off the top of the head had him doing Bambi legs in the first round. It's weird. I thought he looked like an old man tonight. I thought, but to be honest with you, it looked like Whyte didn't impress me. He was throwing punches like he was sucker punching him, like just kind of rocking his shoulder and winging out this big right hand. It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's bad habits because it was Povetkin, but I mean, I don't see him doing anything like that with fucking Fury. You know, Fury at 6'9" would just stick him, just keep sticking him. He doesn't punch well unless his feet are set too. You look at him, when he punches and his feet aren't 100% set, he's all over the place.
Yeah,
the momentum carries him away.
He fights straight up, huh? His legs look he doesn't bend at the legs. It's
very stiff.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, he has to in order to build his leverage. Just how some guys are. Like, that's what made Manny so fucking nasty. He had power on the spring. You know, he'd whack you in the middle of the spring and it'd put you out.
Well, you know what? Some people say that Whyte would beat Wilder. He probably could, but I still think it would be pretty difficult for him, especially if he doesn't move his head. What do you think? Does Wilder still have a chance to beat everybody by virtue of the 1-2, or do you think his days are numbered, especially now like Gonzalo said with his inactivity?
I'm still not convinced we're ever going to see Wilder in the ring again.
Oh.
I'm still standing by that. I just don't. Listen, the PBC's in a bind. There's a reason none of their big guys, including Wilder, have anything in the docket. There's no money. There's no fucking TV spots to put it on. Showtime, like I said, sank all that money into fucking Bellator, and that's now coming to fruition because that money that normally would have been allocated for combat sports isn't there. So now he's going to charge fucking 75 for Ugas Spence, 75 for fucking Davis against whatever cherry pick they try to get. I'm not even 100% sure they stay with that 140-pound kid. I think they're going to scare themselves out of that because that kid does have power. But yeah, they're too afraid of that kid losing his own. Now he's got legal trouble on the fucking horizon. But yeah, no. So now think about it. Wilder received $30 million for his last two fights. So $60 million for his last two. At best, the PBC should pay him in a non-title bout against, whatever scrub you're going to put him in there, fucking God knows who. At best, they're going to pay him, what, $2 million? You think he's going to go in for $2? I mean, remember, I guess, didn't he already just say he wanted $10 million or something? Or he wouldn't go less than $10 million for fighting like a nobody? There's just no money. Nobody's going to put that money up. He still has plenty of money from his last two fights, which makes getting up, and I don't know, he's 35. I think that took fucking his soul. Getting beaten up like that shocked his world because of all the things he put into it. We don't even have to get into, but I would be I'd be just as surprised if he fought again. I think I'd be more surprised. I'm still thinking he never comes back. He never fights again.
Well, each day that passes by supports your theory, man. Because the fact that it took him so long to make an official statement about the fight, and yeah, we're not gonna get into it. We've gone over that ad nauseum. But it's interesting. You mentioned that thing about the money. Is it true that he was asking for an 8-figure payday against Charles Martin?
Yes.
My goodness gracious, that's insane. Yeah, he's absolutely gosh darn.
But he's quoting his. Well, I just.
Are you still there, Jimmy?
Yes.
You're cutting off a little bit, and you're sounding muffled.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, don't use those. Use the best mic you got, man. The best audio device. That's what we look for here at BDA. You gotta bring your best, man. The best, Jerry. The best. Let's see what people are saying. Hugger Mustang says, I really think Wilder's gonna cherry pick a scrub next. He's scared of Whyte. But like Jimmy's saying, the money is the issue. What are they going to pay him? Because if he's asking for $10 million or whatever, he's got to keep in mind that if he's coming back against a scrub, they're not going to pay him that. He's not Floyd Mayweather. He's not Oscar De La Hoya. All right, Jimmy, you back? All right. We seem to have... Yeah, go ahead. Oh, now he... All right. Are you there, Jimmy? Jimmy! All right. Let me read a couple of more comments here. Blue Collar Sports TV says, I kind of need to see Wilder in a comeback to see where he's at before I make a pick. Locked Out says, White is a millionaire. Not bad when he fights like a doorman. I mean, listen, I don't understand. White... He's not that bad, man. I mean, this heavyweight division, he's doing good. He's got a good jab. He's got good counter-punching abilities. He can fight on the inside.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, sorry about that. You know what it was, dude? I didn't shut off the headphone thing, so it was kind of fucking with us. So, yeah, what an imbecile. But yes, there's no money. And now, he doesn't understand. Like, he just doesn't grab the concept of your last pay-per-view without Fury in it. Lost over $15 million, dude.
Yeesh.
Think about it. Never mind the fact that the ticket sales were horrible for Fury Ortiz. They did like 7,000 seats. It was fucking terrible. He didn't pull in a live game. It was like $4 million. They do that at a fucking Chocolatito fight. So the money isn't there. So there's not people tripping over themselves saying, hey, I'll give you a site fee. Who's going to give that kid a site fee? You know what I mean? It just, there's a lot of factors in there. Then taking the fact that he got his soul ripped out of him that night. He made a racial, so he had all that shit in his brain. And I'm telling you, that's a hard thing. So now, plus his invincibility amongst himself is gone. And he doesn't believe in that in himself anymore. So, yeah, I think that's the whole reason he went this crazy with all this bullshit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And he'll say that the sport had, I can already tell you the things he's going to start saying. And it's just ridiculous. But, yeah, I'd be surprised if he comes back unless somebody puts up the fucking money. All right, now
Butcher's back. I wanted to ask him something, Jimmy, because that's a good point. You clear things up about the financial issues there. Butcher, you there?
Yes, sir. Is it better now?
Yes, fantastic. Much better, man. I wanted to ask you, Butcher, based on what we saw from Whyte today, do you still think he would beat Wilder? Or
yes, he would. I know people are gonna call me crazy. I always gave Dylan White a good chance of beating Deontay Wilder. Yeah, even before he got destroyed by Fury, I always give him a good shot. Now, could he get caught by Wilder and get knocked out? Of course, but I'll always give him a good chance of beating Deontay Wilder. He backs him up.
He did the hottest punch we ever faced. Without a doubt.
I mean, come on, he's even better than fucking Old Man Ortiz, and Old Man Ortiz was causing Wilder problems.
He hits harder than Ortiz.
Oh, he does. Man, Ortiz is overrated. Guys, stop it.
He never put his weight on his punches. He just never did. I was always surprised. He tried to step on his toes too much. He never really planted his feet. And I think a lot of that had to do. He was afraid what was coming back was too strong, so he tried to never put himself in that position. What Dillian White can't. That's the only way he fights. So he's gonna put his face. Roll at his hips and then catch Wilder.
But I can see why they call him the body snatcher.
Hey boys, I'm in for 5 minutes, man. I got to go with someone. Go ahead. Where's Kev?
He hasn't called in yet.
Dillian White was in good shape. I told you after the first fight with Povetkin that Dillian White would win the rematch. He'd make adjustments and he'd win. And I haven't actually caught up with the fight yet because you know me, partying's more important right now than boxing. But I fancy Dillian White to win this. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he was dominating that first fight. He got caught with a big shot. You don't make the same mistakes twice. Doesn't surprise me. He's in good shape as well. He lost a good stone and a half, and I think that made a lot of difference. You know, I hate to see boxers like flabby and out of weight, off weight sort of thing. You know, you got to be in shape, and it didn't surprise me. Povetkin's an old man. He was getting bashed all over the shop in the first fight. He brought that punch from the heavens, got a lucky shot. Yeah, it is what it is. That's boxing for you. That can happen, but lightning don't strike twice.
So did you like Molina's shape?
Say again?
Did you see the shape Molina was in?
What, Eric Molina?
Really? Yeah.
Mate, that guy was in terrible shape 5 years ago. So I'd hate to think what he looks like now. Butterbean.
Oh yeah, no, it was bad.
I haven't
It was
seen
bad.
him,
He
but
was.
just a terrible fighter, man. I've got no interest in that guy.
Hey, speaking, Steven Schneider in the chat room says Wilder is gonna fight Ortiz third time. Wouldn't surprise me, man. Wouldn't surprise me. But right now, this is this is White's night. He got his redemption in there, man. And speaking of redemption, let's see if we get a phone call here. 347. You're on the air. 347. What's on your mind?
Yeah, you guys can hear me?
Yeah, just speak a little louder and get to the phone as close as possible, please.
Okay. I'm a little closer now. I do have a question for you guys. How you guys think Wilder will hold up, like, his comeback fight, like at the press conference, when everybody's going to be asking him all these questions, like all the reporters, like, did you believe everything you said? You know, like all these questions. How you guys think Wilder's going to be able to handle that?
Who wants to take that one?
Like a vampire to a cross.
Okay, so that's negative then. That's a negative there. You know what, caller? We can speculate all we want. At the end of the day, it's going to depend on what Wilder brings to the table. Look, he hasn't had the easiest of lives, and say what you want about him, but he did make it this far in boxing. So I expect him to come back. Like, if he does come back, I expect him to give it his all, especially if it's against a guy that he's supposed to beat. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. We all know sports are mental to a large degree. So I think as soon as he gets himself that big win, and especially if it's by knockout, I think a lot of those doubts are going to go away. He's going to regain some of his momentum and some of his energy. That's my answer. But he has to go in there and do it. You know, he might feel nervous, uncertain before the fight, during the press conference, whatever. But once he actually takes his next opponent out, even if it's just a scrub, it's going to be a bit of healing. That's the first step always. So that's my answer to that question.
Who do you think his first opponent would be?
Because, you know, he's a very emotional. So how he's going to handle, like, the emotions of, you know, just the reporters, all the reporters asking him the same question. Like, did you believe that Fury's gloves was loaded? You know, and they'd stay on these topics. It's probably going to get him off his game because he is an emotional guy. So for the
I'm sure his team, I'll tell you, caller, I'm sure his team will tell the reporters in advance.
You know, I'm just trying to see the psyche of pre-fight. You know, like, how is he going to deal with that? That's what I'm thinking.
Jimmy,
well, caller, I could tell you, I'm sure his team will tell fucking media in advance when they get their media credentials. And if there's do's or don'ts, they come with them.
Oh, yeah. No,
they'll be told. They'll be told not to ask him. And Wilder has no problem walking away from an interview.
Being that he lost so much, I would imagine that Fox lost a lot of money on Wilder anytime they put him against, you know, the two Ortiz fights. I would imagine they lost money. They lost money in the Fury and Wilder fight. So it's like he's not gonna have like this big backing, I would imagine, you know, to pay for his next fight or whatever he's asking for. So I think he's kind of like stuck in the middle. He's either gonna have to fight somebody that, like a top notch, maybe, you know, Dillian Whyte, to get the type of money that he's kind of asking for.
Well, he was in training camp to come back in January. They were planning on him. You know, he met with his team. He said in an interview with Brian Custer that he was planning on coming back early January, late January, early February, the latest. And here we are and going in May, and there's nothing even in the docket for that kid. And the thing blew it up was the money. Once he asked $10 million, pretty much everybody's just like, yeah, okay, you're high. Next.
So, caller, let me ask you this, man. Who do you want to see Whyte fight next? Because, you know, he earned now his shot through the redemption. Do you want him to fight the winner of Fury Joshua? Or not do you want him to get it, but would you want to see him get next? Because he's earned it. And if so, who would you rather he fight, Joshua or Fury?
You're saying as far as Whyte, who would I like to see him fight next?
Yeah.
I mean, we already know that Fury and Joshua, they caught up basically for the whole year. So if I had to, probably either the winner of Hergovich and Hunter, or let's say the winner of George Joyce and Usyk. I think that would be a great option for White. In the meantime.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, there you have it. Well,
Dillian White's my favourite fighter from the UK. Tyson Fury, Joshua, all them guys. Dillian White's my favourite because Dillian White brings it no matter what. Dillian White is a limited fighter when it comes to natural talent. He's definitely not a naturally talented fighter, boxer. Sorry, but he's a fighter, and his heart, his will, determination.
You can tell he's very competitive. You can
He's
tell
very
he hates to
competitive,
lose.
and that's what that will get you so far in boxing. Trust me.
Time.
And like I said, he's learning on the job. He's the sort of guy that you can never really put money on the guy because you never know. When Dillian White fights, it's either he's knocking someone out cold in fashion or he's getting knocked out himself. You just don't know which one it is. But
did he start late in life too?
He doesn't look how he behaved when he got knocked out by Povetkin. There was no wilder excuses because this is the thing we do different. I hate to say it, but we do things different in the UK. You Americans, not all of you, some of you are fucking great guys, but most of you are whiny little fucks that are just there to play the victim. And there's always a reason why you're a fuck up in life. Honestly, every time Americans make me sick to my stomach, whining and bitching about everything. And this is why it doesn't surprise me when Wilder got beat that all the girls came out making excuses. It's in the UK. You get knocked out. You got beat by the better man. Shake his hand, have a beer, move on to the next one. You guys, conspiracy theories. It's Trump's fault. It's the white man's fault.
In the history of boxing, right, dude? You know, in the history of boxing, other fighters like to make yourself look like a victim was a punk move. It was like to sit there and say, "Oh, it was drugged and it was." Fucking, he was loaded gloves and this, corrupt referee and NASDAQ officials. Dude, you sound like a fool, and you've embarrassed yourself. Like that wouldn't have flown back in the old days, dude. The whole business would have shut him out. He would have been a black eye to the sport. But in the date, like you said, victim culture sells.
That's right. It does, man.
I hate to say it because some of my favourite people on the internet are Americans, but as a whole, the whiniest fucking motherfuckers on the planet. Honestly, some of the behaviour of some of these guys, like little bitches, man, need to man up. Trust me, when I was younger, I used to look up to the Americans. I used to think smart people, brave people, warriors. Now I look at them, I see snowflake, victimhood, pussies.
All right,
honestly,
by the way,
that's how I see it.
I gotta interject here because there's somebody in the chat room named Stuart Little Tight Jeans, and he donated with the super chat, and he left the same message. He says, "My tight jeans fit like paint." I think that's Pigeon, by the way. And by the way, speaking of Pigeon,
it don't matter. My tight jeans right now are on the floor of my girl's bedroom while Pigeon's sitting there with his cock in his hand. So I'm winning.
Pigeon has I was watching Povetkin in the weigh-in. He looks like Pigeon. They share the same physique. Very pale, no muscle definition. They're shaped like a bag of milk. Pigeon, you need to stop drinking and get some push-ups in there,
Pigeon
man.
doesn't lose. He's never lost.
He lost a long time ago, man. Pigeon did. And by the way, phone lines are open. Don't forget, you can call in. Give us your thoughts on the fights, the heavyweight division. What else was I going to say? And don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the like button. Also, by the way,
Dillian White.
Go ahead, Gonzalo.
I can see why they call him the body snatcher. He hit Povetkin with the hell of a right hook to the body, to the kidney area. Did you guys see how his body was reddened on the side? But I just wish that he would go more often to the body because he's built. He's wide. The white lats. He's built to throw shots, the hooks, not only to the head but to the body.
Mm-hmm. That's true, man. He's got good body shots. This guy, he was throwing a nice straight to the body.
That's why I don't see Wilder going anywhere near him. I think they know he hits too hard.
Well, there
Listen,
you have
Wilder's got spindly legs, man. If you ever guy, you can't find him on the internet. There were a couple of pictures of him getting out of a pool, and he had long normal shorts that go down to your knees because they were wet. That motherfucker's thighs are like fucking, dude. They're crazy. He's got spindly ass legs. He's all upper body.
Yeah. They sure betrayed him in the Fury fight with the whole costume thing. Just the fact that Fury's a big guy. I mean, that's the reality. The pressure.
leaning on him and everything. Just that, his legs aren't. He doesn't squat. He doesn't believe in it because it's a hard exercise. The same way he doesn't hit the speed bag because it's a thing you kind of have to master. It seems like he doesn't do all the fucking things because like he said, all I got to do is hit once. He got that knucklehead JD's convincing him that's all he ever needed to do.
Yeah, man. I mean, could a couple of squats help him? I mean, yeah, JD's. You remember those clips I showed where he's talking about how we don't need to we don't need to reinvent the wheel. You kind of do, man. If you want to get ahead anywhere in boxing, you can't just stay with the same thing over and over again.
Shout out like fucking Pet Detective training a fucking fighter. That video you had in your video of him training, I didn't even know what to say. I was watching like, holy shit. This is like insane. It's not like how bad that was.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Then you wonder why he's got no foot. It was amazing, dude. I rewound that and I probably watched it 20 times. I couldn't believe the things he was having Wilder do. I don't know. It was no wonder Breland said it was a joke. The camps were a joke. They were just basically to keep him in condition. They were just condition camps. Get his lungs burning. That's all. Get him in condition and fucking go out there and land that one big right hand. When you fight, when your best guy before 38 fights in, your best guy is Stavern on your record. Come on, Stavern in the 1980s and 90s wouldn't even have been ranked 5.
That's right, man. That's a good point. I mean, but again, look, I don't know. You guys tell me, man. By the way, we got Jay on the Discord. Jay, you there?
Yeah, morning or evening. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Good. Thank you for being.
Thanks for us. Hey,
up,
Jimmy.
Jay?
How you doing? What's going on, Stu? Hey, Genzo.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts. Piggybacking off of this question from a point that Stu made, we're talking. I mean, Jimmy. We're talking about Dillian Whyte, but also, Deontay Wilder, a fight between them, how it would go. What do you think? Do you think do you think Wilder's still pretty dangerous with that 1-2 of his?
We don't know what Wilder's got. We have no clue what he's got. Before, when he was out there, he was brave because he thought one right hand could turn everything. And now that his right hand didn't turn anything against Tyson Fury, we've seen it many times over. When an undefeated fighter gets destroyed, where does his confidence go? When Hearns, it came right back. Evander Holyfield, it came right back. But someone as fragile with as many excuses as Wilder's got, we don't know. Can he stop Dillian Whyte? Yeah, Dillian Whyte's been stopped before. But I just don't know. I don't know what he's got left. I don't know what his confidence is. They have not been in a rush to really get him back in the ring with somebody just to keep him busy. And then we've noted how many flaws he has. We've noted his conditioning. We've noted how lack of real true training he's ever given himself. I have no clue what he can do. I can tell you that he has a punch that should be able to stop Dillian Whyte, but I can't put any faith the fact that he's going to land it anymore if he has no confidence in himself.
Well, he claimed to be in training camp, but he got booed. They lost the fight because of his money demands. To me, when he was asking, I want to say 2 BDA for that, when he said, I want 10 million and he wouldn't get off that, we say it all the time, when a fighter purposely prices himself out, why is he doing that? Because he doesn't want the fight. Like, why wouldn't he take, if that fucking dude is a walkthrough, yeah, give me $3 million for fuck. I got nothing to do Saturday. Fuck, if you're really a boxer and a fighter, and you know what I mean, or even $2 million. He wouldn't get off $10 million to fight Charles Martin. Come on, he doesn't. To me, it sounds like he doesn't want to fight.
He's been matched very wisely, man. These matchmakers know what they're doing. The blueprint is out. They even try to intimidate the public with the fake news. Yeah, he hits hard, but put a pressure fighter that got power, that can push him back and not allow him to create the distance that he needs to land his right hand. Then you also got the threat that you hit hard and you got to keep him busy, that he's going to not want to engage. Damn, dude, that guy gets fucking beat. That guy gets beat. By a guy that can punch hard, and can close the distance and pressure you, he gets beat, man.
Yeah, someone could just keep him, not letting him set his feet. That's all you got to do. Don't let Wilder set his feet and you'll fuck him up.
Real quick. I gotta read a super chat real quick. I gotta read a super chat from John Gonzalez. He says, this is for that clip, BD. All right, shout out, John. We take requests here. All right, keep going, guys. Sorry about that.
Well, I was going to say, Ortiz already exposed.
Yeah, don't let him
Yeah.
set his feet. Then you also got the threat if
Exactly.
you hit hard. He got to be careful. Because, I mean, I don't think he takes the biggest punches either. But if you're not letting him set himself to create the distance to set up his type of style of fighting.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
It's okay. That's where I am
Yeah,
going to
that's
disagree with you.
basically it, man.
I am going to disagree.
And
about
another
that.
thing, you know, he got a big payday against Fury. I don't think this guy really loves boxing. He doesn't. Now, he got himself up to fight Fury for a big payday. That's why he want big money to fight Charles Martin. If you're offering him a little money, I'm not saying that 1 million, 2 million, but that's peanuts compared to what he earned. He's not going to want to get up because he thinks he deserves more. That means his motivation, because he don't love boxing, is not going to be there to prepare himself. You know?
Yeah, he admits he only went into the sport for money for his daughter. That's, you know what I mean?
Okay, I'm going to draw a little parallel here for a second. Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones. No, they don't deserve to be in the same sentence as Deontay Wilder. But when you talk about getting up for a fight, Roy used to say he couldn't get up for a fight with Darius Michalczewski or a rematch with Bernard Hopkins. So he took on the likes of Derek Harmon and guys like that who were not in the same league as Bernard Hopkins or Darius Michalczewski, but he took fights he could get up for. Now, he's worlds better of a fighter than on his worst day with one leg and a broken hand than Deontay Wilder would ever be. But the point is, when you're talking about getting up for a fight, what motivates you?
I mean, for a real fight, right? Yeah, he can beat up taxi drivers, fucking cab drivers, right?
We'd say Dominic Breeze was not exactly a cab driver, but he beat him. And we know Luis Ortiz was not a cab driver, but he beat him twice. So I'm not going to defend Deontay Wilder as if he's anything great, because he's not. But he's been able to land that Sunday punch when he's been able to withstand punches. Now, you said he doesn't have that good of a chin. Tyson Fury hit him with a lot of stuff and put a beating on him. I didn't see him go down that many times. I didn't see him go down as many as Foreman had Frazier down. So I don't question his chin. I do question his heart. I question his mentality. I question his will, but I don't question his chin.
He's been
Brazil was a sitting duck. He got knocked out in the first round. You know, he was right there to be hit. Ortiz, I mean, he got power, but he didn't have the speed. Name me somebody that Wilder has faced that's explosive with semi-heavy hands. You know, that there was ever a threat there to say
I can answer.
Really take a punch.
I can answer, Gonzalo. Never. Never.
Name me a heavyweight division. Name me a heavyweight today who has. And don't give me Andy Ruiz, because I'm not going to listen. I'll hang up on this show before I listen to that. Name me somebody who has. There isn't one. This generation doesn't have one. The kind of fighter
Wilder's got explosive power, but he just doesn't know how to use it. It's like having with a fucking machine gun.
He can't face himself.
I know. I'm talking about
that fits the description that Gonzalo just put out there in the heavyweight division.
Well, there's prospects out there that are dangerous, high risk, low reward, like Hrgovic, that Nigerian cat, you know, that's kind of limited, but he's a big power puncher. Then you also have like the Dillian Whytes of the world. That's a perfect example. This guy, there's no denying that he can hit hard as fuck.
Well,
he ducked Joshua twice to fight fucking
Povetkin at the time. He's a power puncher too, but luckily he's not. He's older now. Unfortunately, I mean.
You know, one thing I don't question Wilder's heart. I actually do think Wilder does have heart, because he was taking a beating against Fury and he didn't seem like he was going to quit anytime soon. So I don't question his heart. I do question his skills, though. And the fact that his trainers just don't seem to know how to make him improve, that I do question. But let me tell you, man, I keep saying that 1-2 of his has to be one of the quickest and deadliest combination out there in the heavyweight division. And not a lot of guys can get away from it. Even Fury in the first 2 rounds, he still got caught with some right hands. He was able to take him, but he wasn't able to fucking, take him out of there and make any adjustments and box with Fury.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I don't question.
A straight line too. It's crazy. He never throws it off on an angle. It's always you got to be directly in front of him. It just I just have to Brazil, man. I thought he was a stiff. Always did. I always.
I don't necessarily question his heart when he's inside of the ring. I mean, that is the most important thing when you're there. I mean, if you talk the talk, you can walk the walk. Okay, but I some of his antics, the way he moves outside of the ring, cowardly in a way. The way he he ducks fighters. The things he says sometimes that just reflects a little bit about his character.
I want to kill somebody. I want a body on my record. That was some low rent shit.
It was. Jimmy?
Yes.
You're around for In Living Color back in the '90s, right?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So you remember when Jim Carrey did the whole martial arts? I was trained by Chuck Norris, and you have to come at him with stiff legs, stabbing straight up and down, walking like a wind-up soldier, and then I can show you how to. That's exactly
how to
what
defend
Wilder's got to be. That's the way Wilder has to be.
That's funny. That's a funny analogy.
Just in line, in the right place, straight down the middle to where my sights are lined up, and you have to stay there. Don't move, Jimmy. Don't move. Go right there. Yeah, that's where I want you. Just stay right there.
Hey,
now I can go and fight.
What about Fire Marshal Bill? Not to get off on that, but
Yeah,
that was my favorite.
Classic, man. Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something. Here you go, Gazelle. That was some funny shit. I can't believe how much I hate him.
Now we saw this guy, Molina. He just got KO'd by this guy, Fabio Wardley. Similar style. I mean, when Deontay Wilder got hurt, he came back and knocked out Molina. But we saw that Molina, kind of the same thing,
Molina was looking the first fucking thing he got really rocked. He could have got up from that. You know what I mean? He was looking to get the fuck out of there. He had no intentions of winning. You can tell the way the horrible shape he came in, that he didn't take this fight serious. But I'll tell you, he was giving that kid Worley some fucking trouble. In fact, the kid was hurt when he fucking knocked him out just when what's-his-name said he had enough. Molina.
Yeah.
Are a lot of people high on that kid, Woodley? What's the story about
I never seen him fight before. I think he started boxing when he was 20 from what they said, so he's a late starter.
I think he's possessed with the ghost of Mayweather, too. Keeping his hands down by his fucking waist. The only person I've ever seen do that well at heavyweight was Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, not connect.
Can you hear me? Hello? Was that a mass dropping? Still dropped.
Sorry, my headphones died out there for a second. I'm still coming in and out.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Was that a mass dropping or something? Susan Wiki got all upset. What did we say?
This is a good month for boxing, man. There's fights coming up the following, and up till April, every week from here on.
Thank the Lord. There are times like that in the '90s when I'd talk to my friends and we'd be like, "Hey, so what have we got going? Oh, we got 3 on HBO for the next week, 2 on Showtime, and don't forget about Tuesday night fights." And I mentioned a good one on that one.
Hey, Jay.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to ask you a question because you defend Crawford like me. You're a Crawford fan. How did you take his comments about Canelo, man? That was, to me, very disappointing.
If you actually go back and look at the show, I was very disappointed myself. I didn't get. I feel like he's playing a card. I don't know why. I
don't understand the angle. I don't exactly. I don't know what he thought he did for himself.
I don't know what he thought he did either. But I'm going on a tangent here. So here is going to go off on a little bit of a subject, but I'm going to bring it back around. Yep. It's a WWF kind of reference. Ultimate Warrior. Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan. They go out there, they promote themselves. They make their speech, they do their promo, they flex their muscles, they sell the show, everybody's there. Undertaker doesn't say shit. You send Paul Bearer out. Paul Bearer's the one that sells everything. At the end, the Undertaker says a few words and then rolls his eyes to the back of his head because he needs Paul Bearer to sell the show for him. Stu even said not too long ago, Crawford's manager does most of the talking at the press conferences. Crawford doesn't need a microphone in front of his face. Let him fight. Don't let him talk. I don't think he knows what he's saying. He's not well organized. He's not well spoken. He's not a bad guy, but he can't sell himself. Don't let him talk. Don't let him have interviews. Don't let him do anything except for sign the contracts and fight. Because obviously, when you do, look what happens. He makes
what he said made no sense.
Comments like this. I know.
Because You know what? Charlo fucking turned down a contract, a lucrative fight with Canelo in end of 2019. Turned it down, and he didn't even deny it. In fact, his brother admitted it, and he even admitted it in the tweets that not now. Yeah, so that's not in a rumor. That's an established fact. He turned that
He turned
fight
it down against Andrade too. The same kind of offer against Andrade also.
So, but you know what though, Charlo, it shows you his character, because he should have came out and said, well, to be fair, or at least like, no, I did fucking step aside. But he's actually going along with people like, where is Canelo? Where's GGG? It's like, I've never seen a fighter, dude, that like, first he fucking calls out Benavidez. A couple of years ago, like a year ago, he's just like, Benavidez's name was getting, he's like, I'll go up to Benavidez, and then all of a sudden, Benavidez just beats this kid last week and then starts going after Charlo. Bring Charlo up here. I want him. Now Charlo's saying, "What? No, I have to go up to 168." It's like, all right, dude. I've seen 3 years of this from you now, dude.
There's a lot of fake news going. There's a lot of fake news going on in America. I mean, I am American, but I haven't been living there for the last 3 years, and it's trickling down to every sort of sector, like even into sports, man. And people are fine with that. They will not even remember these things. Yeah.
But it would get. What my thing is, like, it's not like, yes, there's a shit ton of fake news. That's just how it is. But it's not like he's just promulgating it. Like he's starting it, and it's. What he does is he attaches his name. Whoever's kind of on the rise is getting some ink. He just attaches his name because, listen, they don't have a promoter. There's no promoter over there. It's an advertising age. I mean, it's an app. He's an advisor, so there's no advertising. So these guys have no promoter. There's no committee to sit down. This is what you got to do. So he thinks attaching his name to all these fighters, like, and then backing off it, because the problem is when you start attaching your name to a bunch of people that you want to fight, and then when it comes around that they now want to fight you, and you completely take a 180-degree change. Honestly, he depends on his fan base being stupid. That's got to be my only.
You know what? And Al Heyman is a perfect scapegoat, because you could say, "Oh, I haven't talked to Al Heyman. I haven't seen him," and then you could blame them because he never comes out to light. So you could just blame it on him, and you're not held accountable because you kind of get put in a like, "Oh, this mysterious guy. We don't know nothing about him."
One of his fighters recently was in the ring going, "Oh, I actually talked to Al Heyman." Like he was saying
that was weird as fuck. Huh?
Yeah, who was that? Who just
was
said
that? He
that?
was saying, "I met Al."
Charlo. That was Charlo.
Yeah, it was Charlo saying, was it? Yeah,
I think it was.
Hey, what's up, Recognize?
Hey, what's up, gentlemen? How you doing? I think it was Spence.
Yeah, was he drunk and he said that or something?
Spence
I know. I was shocking the way he said it.
Al Heyman. He said, "I met Al Heyman."
If you're like Spence, you would think that he would see him often, and like 2-3 times a week, and. I mean, yeah, but I met him one time. You're a millionaire, fucking pound for pound fighter, and you've only met one time. You met him one time, and when you do talk about him, you sound starstruck. That sounds weird as fuck.
Yeah, that's not Spence's. That's not Spence's fault though. Heyman doesn't want to see these guys.
First of all,
he has people going out in front of him.
Isn't those guys supposed to work for you, Jimmy? Ricky, aren't they supposed to work for you? You're the boss. If I'm Spence, I'm the boss.
No, he's got them. These guys get these guys. Yeah, very strange relationship. Like you said, he thinks, like you said, it sounds like they worshipped him. You know what I mean? It's bizarre.
Hey, can I just bring this
Tim,
back to the?
Go ahead, BD. It's your show. I'm sorry.
Well, I just want to bring this back to the heavyweights real quick, because the chess pieces have moved after Whyte knocked out Povetkin tonight, and. Whyte, you would assume he was going to hold out and get his shot, wait for his shot at the winner of Fury Joshua, even though that might go 2 times or even 3 times, depending on if there is a rematch and how that happens. Do you guys think Whyte is in the top 3 heavyweights of the world? Or how would you have... Well, actually, let me put up the rankings here from Ring TV, just to give you an idea of how they have it. They have Tyson Fury as a champion, Joshua is the number 1 guy, the number 1 contender. Wilder number 2, and they had Povetkin number 3, and Whyte at 4. So now that Whyte beats Povetkin, do you think he is in the top 3 or top 4 heavyweights?
I'd have to say number 4. I'm not high on Wilder, but belt champion, knockouts, 9 defenses. He deserves, until someone knocks him out of the top 3, to be in the top 3. This definitely puts Whyte number 4, because it looks like it was a pretty impressive knockout. I didn't get to catch it yet, but it looked like a pretty impressive knockout, plus he avenged the loss. And he beat one over a guy that's been in the top 10 for the past almost 20 years. So
Right.
that has to carry some weight. So first of all, recognize how you doing. And
What's up, Jay?
wrapping up my point on this is the fact that yeah, he has to be in the number 4, and until someone takes him out, and he deserves a shot. I would put him in against Usyk if he has the weight. That's what I would do.
Okay,
If
that's
I had to
interesting.
guess, he's up there, top 3, top 5, definitely in the top 5.
But not ahead of Wilder, you're saying?
No, I don't think so.
Now it's interesting though, because Wilder has had more longevity than Whyte, because Whyte has had his stumbles, particularly the loss to Povetkin in the first fight. But if you think about it, other than longevity, what else does Wilder have over him? His 2 best wins are over Ortiz. Whyte has beaten Parker, Chisora, and now Povetkin. Not for
He's got 3 words: former heavyweight champion. Whyte doesn't have that next to his name that I know of.
Now, who's the former heavyweight champion that he beat?
No, you're talking about Wilder. That's what he has over him. He is the former heavyweight champion. White doesn't have that.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you want to go by the titles, yeah, sure. I suppose that's a good point. But even come on.
With 9 title defenses on top of that, which we're not defending him. The show has a way of making me sound like I'm a fan of guys I'm not a fan of.
But that's what I said in the beginning. I said longevity aside. If you look at the best opponents.
Okay, so look at the past several opponents and longevity aside. What does he have? With respect to you as the show host, it's kind of like taking away all the guy's best attributes and saying, okay, what does he have left after that?
Nah, but Jay, there's a difference. Like I said, the longevity, I didn't discount the longevity. I said the longevity, he's got that. But when you actually look at the quality of the guys they've fought, you could actually make an argument that the Whyte has beaten the better opponents.
Wilder actually holds the distinction of the only WBC heavyweight champion to hold a belt for 4 years or more to fight. It's like historically bad. His I think the average ranking of his first 7 defenses was like 17. You know, the positioning. I mean, he fought fucking way out of the top 10. He deliberately fucking avoided all kinds of Povetkin. Strung that along. I don't think he eventually want that, but he ducked Joshua twice. You know what I mean? So I think it was a cherry pick gone wrong, like you said. He picked him fucking because he was coming off that fucking drug-induced time. He looked like crap in his, coming fight. So I thought Wilder thought like this is a pillow, like he kept saying, he's a pillow fucking puncher. He never thought he'd hurt him.
So after reviewing his record a little bit, I could actually agree with BDA that I could put him 1 and 2, Joshua and Fury, whichever one you want to put first, and then I'd put number 3A and 3B between Wilder and Whyte, and depends on who you want to put. Obviously, the LDWXYZ community that I've never heard of except for on this show would put Wilder there.
No, but look. I will say this. I will say this. I do agree that Wilder should be ahead because again, I'm not discounting the longevity, like you said, Jay. You can't take it away from him. It's there. But what I'm saying is, it's not that far off. You know what I mean? It's like, especially now that Wilder has lost and Whyte just won. Although again, he did get beat by Povetkin the first time, Whyte. So I agree with you guys. I do think Wilder should still be ahead of him. But man, that race is
no matter how much of a mirage it is, he still was the champion, like he said, for 9 defenses. Regardless of a mirage, he was the WB. So just for that, if you respect the body of sanctioned bodies and stuff, you got to give him credit for it.
Absolutely.
So you could also argue that Whyte got the second best resume in boxing, or tied, or similar to Fury's.
I think I just used the eye test. I think Wilder would beat him. I could be wrong about that.
I agree.
So I still think Wilder's better. I mean, unless Wilder's just a fucking total head case, but if Wilder's okay coming back from losing to Fury, I think he could still beat Dillian Whyte. So I'll put him ahead of him.
I'll put him ahead of him just because I don't think Dillian Whyte can avoid a right hand for 12 straight rounds. And when that right hand does land, we have seen the fact that Whyte can go out. I mean, we've seen it twice now.
I agree.
Yeah, but can Wilder avoid a fighter that can throw power punches with 2 hands? He hasn't faced a fighter that can hit hard with 1 hand. Imagine fighting a fighter that's 2-fisted like Dillian Whyte.
That's another good point. Like I said, we need to see Wilder come back, man, against a decent opponent, not a total scrub, but somebody that so that because if he struggles against a scrub, or that's gonna let us know, okay, this guy's not there.
Apparently, Wilder reacted to the knockout win of Povetkin, and he said that he wants Dillian Whyte. Now I don't know if he wants Dillian Whyte next, but he said that he wants a Dillian Whyte fight.
Well, let me check his Twitter.
Well, recognize. Well, I was going to ask you now. Think about it. Recognize. If you were him, you have $60 million the last 2 fights, so they've deferred some of it, so he still has money coming in. So do you take $2 million, $3 million, and risk getting knocked out? See, as it is now, he is actually saying in interviews that he's never been beaten. They had to rob me, steal. He freaked out. He was like almost disrespectful to Brian Costa when he said, well, now that, you lost your belt, no, let me correct you. So, in his mind, in his sycophantic fucking world he lives in, right, in the people he listens to in that, echo chamber, he's still their king. He's undefeated. They robbed him. So he could walk away, and at least in that world where the only view seems counts to him, he's still that. Does he risk it and get beat?
Well,
and lost?
Show you his mindset.
Exactly. Everybody will abandon him.
If he's not willing to risk it, it's because he's not confident. If he saw Dillian Whyte and said, man, I could knock this dude out and let's make this happen, he would do it. It's all about
just talking about it.
It's all about whether or not you have the confidence to do it. Let's say Eddie Hearn says, hey, I'll give you fucking $10 million to fight Dillian Whyte.
Well, when you start saying everybody and the mother and the cart lot fucking kid out in the car, attendant was in on the fix to rob you of your belt, you clearly didn't take that loss well. You have clear emotional fucking problems.
It was my fault. It was my fault. I fixed it. I'm just a boxing fan that works at, a regular wage paying job, so it was my fault. I'm the white guy. I'm the white Christian male. It was my fault.
And you could tell that the dude's not in. Listen. There was an interview. I actually fucking had somebody send it to me because it's so shocking. Somebody asked him, actually, a kid from Fight Hub TV, asked him about a question about the financial end of the Fury fight, and he couldn't string together a cohesive sentence. He tried, and you can. I'm just all right. I'm going to be straight up honest, man. That dude, if he took an IQ test, man, I'm telling you, he'd be lucky to be bagging groceries.
Oh, wait a minute.
Dude, he's just not. No, he isn't a smart cat. And I don't think fucking because of that, and that it plays into his emotional weaknesses and his insecurities, too, because he's just kind of a fucking dumb, big guy who can throw
One thing
hard
about
punches.
Dillian Whyte, he's confident in himself, right? He could take a loss, that's got to go far. And, if the fight becomes like a bit of a chess match, I can see Dillian Whyte sparking him out. If Wilder just goes in there loose, I can see Wilder knocking him out. Probably I would bet on that. But if he's tentative and he's oh, I can't get knocked out by this dude. I talk too much shit. He's gonna get knocked the fuck out.
Dude, he'd lose everybody. The LDBC would abandon him. Those guys saying they want to shoot and murder Sugar Hill. Think about it. Right now, he's sitting right, dude. He's at home with people saying they want to kill people because of that loss. If he goes and gets knocked out, dude, they will fucking abandon
Sugar
him.
Hill's from Detroit. Those guys ain't stepping foot over.
No, I know. It just goes to show you the level of fucking sycophantic weirdos these are. But those guys will abandon him.
These weirdos from New York, Milwaukee, wherever the fuck they're from, LA. That's just tough talk. But if they ever go out there looking for problems, they'll find out quickly.
But you know what? It's interesting the contrast between the way Whyte handled his loss to Povetkin and the way Wilder did. Like Stu said, Whyte took it and said, you know what? I got caught. Let's do it again. Wilder got the shit beat out of him. He disappears for about 3-4 months. A whole bunch of conspiracy theories spring up and ferment. He lets it ferment. Then he comes back and he adds fuel to the fire. Then he asks for an 8-figure payday to fight Charles Martin. It just seems like you guys are right, man. He's lost the plot.
Who's laughing now? Because Deontay Wilder was laughing at Whyte when he got KO'd. And if I remember, he was laughing at Anthony Joshua. But those guys ran it back. And who's laughing now? Wilder's being the fucking pussy. Don't want to take no fights, man. Don't even want to step into the ring again.
Exactly. When you ask for $10 million to fight Charles Martin, you're saying, I don't want to fight anymore. To me, that's what it says. Anyways.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
I'm going to go this route. I'm going to go this route on that. And it's not that first of all, when it comes to confidence in oneself, you can tell the ones that usually don't have it because they're always going out of the way to show you what they've done. I still say to this day, Mayweather was not as confident as he pretended to be because he had to go out of his way to prove how he was better than Manny Pacquiao. I make more money. I'm undefeated. I beat this guy. He's beat my leftovers. I'm doing blah, 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 blah. Well, Ray Leonard never did that. Tommy Hearns never did that. And you're trying to say you're better than them. So, okay, off of my Mayweather tangent, back over to this one. Wilder's doing the same thing. They've been paying him more than he's been bringing in. As Jimmy said, they haven't been opening their books to show you what those numbers were, yet he's getting these supposed $20 million paydays. So he thinks he's a draw. He thinks he's at the top of the hill. So he's demanding this stuff because they've blown his head up. Not just because he doesn't have the confidence that we know he doesn't have, but on top of that, it's been built up based off of all this facade of, oh, well, I've been making these $20 million paydays. What's Dillian Whyte been making? What's Charles Martin been making? I'm still the former world champ with 9 title defenses, 8 by knockout or something along those lines. Hey, I got an idea. I'm worth $10 million to fight Charles Martin. He's a former champ. I'm a former champ. And they blew his head up. And now he believes he can make this because they were handing it to him. Now he thinks
boxing confidence gives you the confidence. Boxing skills, ability gives you the confidence that you need, I believe. He tries to use the fear factor to intimidate the public and create this aura that, he tries to imitate Mike Tyson in many ways. But, if we remember Mike Tyson was a power puncher, but he was also a very skilled fighter. One thing that Deontay Wilder lacks. So I think that the boxing ability gives you the confidence that he needs, and he obviously lacks because he cannot box. So, credit, he's a power puncher. But, he's got people captured with that whole idea, I'm a power puncher. But not only with that alone are people going to, fighters are going to appear.
We saw behind the curtain, right? We saw behind the curtain. He's got nothing to hide.
Hardcore, and the fighters, they understand.
Yep, they understand. They know he's done.
Can I say real quick, shout out to Thunderdome Boxing in the chat room, and he says, going back to the Povetkin thing, he says, Povetkin, hold on, I can't find it. I'm going by memory here. I have to scroll up to find the comment. Where the fuck is it? Give me 2 seconds, fellas. He said, Povetkin looked terrible. Worst he's ever looked by far. Yeah, man, I'll give Whyte some credit for doing that, making him look bad, but still, that he looked like he got hit and lost his equilibrium very early on. He never regained it. So shout out to real quick, shout out to Thunderdome, and don't forget to subscribe to Thunderdome Boxing if you haven't already. All right, guys, go ahead, recognize.
He never really established the jab. He kind of like abandoned that. I saw him feinting, and when he would feint, this guy Whyte wasn't biting, and I think that's because he kind of like figured out that that's all he's gonna do. He wasn't throwing the jab and then feinting, or feinting, throwing the jab. He wasn't doing any of that stuff, and so
he was unsteady on his legs. How are you gonna bite for a feint if he's
hold on real quick,
right?
Gonzalo? Let me just say this real quick. Every time Whyte hit him, he shaked him, and I was like, "Yo, he looks fragile. Like he just looks." He was getting pieced up in the first fight too, but he looked more steady on his legs. He looks a lot stronger. That's what allowed him to hit him with that nice uppercut. Condition. Yeah, he looked in bad condition, and I'm not making no excuses. Dillian Whyte looked in good shape. He looked in much better shape than the first fight.
Yes, he did.
But
yeah. And the thing that Whyte said, it rings true with the power puncher. He says, "You watch. Every time I touch him, even before the fight started, he made these comments. My punches are gonna reverberate through his body. That's a sign of a guy that knows how to punch." I know what he's saying. I understand. Look, man, if the Whyte couldn't even settle his legs down because every punch that Whyte was throwing was with power, man.
You guys remember when Montel Griffin was giving Roy Jones hell in the first fight, and people thought the second fight was going to be close, and Roy just kind of came in and showed everyone who the better fighter was? It's kind of what this scenario reminds me of.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Yeah. The younger, better fighter is definitely Dillian Whyte.
You know, Jay, if you look at that fight, you can see that Roy Jones figured him out, but in the first fight, because he kept ducking. You know how you throw that jab, he kind of ducks low. So Roy just started throwing uppercuts. But he got a little too carried away. I think he was pissed off with Montel giving him fits, and he just lost it.
Yep.
I mean, this is a young
Montel
man's
was scared of
game.
that rematch.
You know, Povetkin couldn't get his legs under him because if you got the presence of a big man coming after you, that's gonna make you a little nervous. Nervous, not because you're scared. Obviously, you're a fighter because you know that big shots are coming by a powerful person, by a powerful man. So that just got you nervous of what am I gonna do? Do I need a jab? Maybe I don't want a jab. Maybe I just want to counter because you got this force of nature coming at you. And I think that coupled with the fact that he's older and his legs weren't necessarily there, and he was a little nervous, couldn't settle down and get his legs under him. That's what did him in. And you know, if you can't get your legs under you, if you're the opponent, like what, obviously you're gonna know that if Povetkin's fainting, the feints aren't real because even if they're real punches, he doesn't have his legs under him. The punches are not gonna come with the power that they need to have.
Exactly, that's a great point, Gonzalo. And actually, we talked about it in the beginning of the show, and one thing that Gonzalo and I were talking about before you guys got here was, okay, we saw Chisora, who's a very bulky type of guy. He gave Usyk trouble. Now, I know a lot of you guys are high on Usyk and some of the prospects or some of the results he can get in the heavyweight division. My question is, based on what we saw from Usyk in the Chisora fight and what we saw from Whyte in these last two fights, great jab, good accuracy, power. How would you guys see a Usyk versus Whyte fight going down?
I see Usyk stopping him.
Whoa.
I see Usyk stopping him. Yeah. And it won't be like he cold cocks him, knock him out. He'll stop him late. He'll stop
humiliation.
him late.
He might even stop him off of humiliation, off of the fact that the difference in skill will show. Size may play against Whyte in that fight. May. Don't quote me on any of this because you never know what's going to happen in boxing. But the speed, the agility, the athleticism of Usyk versus the power of Whyte could work against him, in which case it could just be like an accumulation of shots and just to where he's so far behind, swollen eyes, bloody nose, and everything else. And someone just says, you know what? I'm sorry, man, tonight's not your night. I can see that. I'm not saying it's going to go that way, but I can't see that being a result.
That's a 50-50 fight, man. That, you know what, the power that Whyte possesses, he can hit you with the body shot or maybe hit you in the arm to where, Usyk has been plagued with problems to his biceps and I don't know, other injuries. He can hurt you. He could disable you in the fight. He could disable you, hurt you. But I would favor Usyk later, but early on, Povetkin's dangerous.
No, Usyk
Sorry,
jumped up
I mean to say Dillian Whyte.
money, right?
Dillian Whyte's dangerous.
But that's his motivation, right? It was just probably the money, right? He just cleared out cruiserweight.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But
no, that wasn't just. Hey, but can I? Sorry, Jimmy, but that wasn't just like right now. That was like 2-3 years ago. Can we just?
No, I know. Yeah, no, I know. I just was curious.
Time makes a difference, right? Right, Jimmy. Time makes a difference.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
By the way, Paper Tiger in the chat room says Usyk schools Whyte. Come on, guys. I'm not so sure, man. I mean, he was getting out-jabbed by Chisora. Now, we got Bucho on the line. Bucho, we were talking about earlier about Whyte versus Wilder. A lot of us think that maybe Whyte could potentially beat him, something that maybe Wilder could get him out of there. Now we're talking about Whyte Usyk. How would you see Usyk doing against Whyte, considering what happened between him and Chisora?
I think Usyk can outbox the guy. I don't think he's gonna be rushing in like Chisora. Whyte is gonna be rushing in like Chisora. It's a completely different fight. And I think Usyk would see those haymakers that Dillian Whyte throws because they're almost haymakers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're wide right hands that he's throwing in. They're haymakers. Yeah. So I think
when he goes for the kill, Bucho, I seen that too. That's why I thought. Particularly when he goes for the kill, he's extra vulnerable against a fighter like Povetkin, especially when you're hurt. When he threw that first shot in the first fight, that counter shot almost had to be perfect. He did to replicate that, and the second fight that'd be extra difficult. But Whyte gets really wide when he goes for the kill. Only when he believes that it's safe to do so. So against a fighter that's really seasoned and also that's got good instincts, he could catch Whyte. And Usyk gets that guy.
What about the feint? If he starts feinting, because I remember Povetkin was kind of doing that in the first fight, in the first Dillian Whyte fight. He was feinting, and if Usyk manages to do that consistently throughout 12 rounds, yeah, I can see Usyk outboxing this guy, man. Seriously.
Well, his ring generalship, I mean, ring IQ is light years above White's. White's just
It's
like
awesome.
Yeah.
he's just a big, hard punching motherfucker. You know what I mean? Tough as nails. His kid's tough, and you can tell he doesn't like to lose. So he's got a lot of good qualities. I like that he's willing to fight people. But yeah.
But what would be the biggest concern, your Usyk? I mean, obviously.
My biggest concern, he gets tired, gets a
Yeah.
little tired in the legs. That's the only concern that I would have. He has to do boxing on the move like he usually does.
And if I was fucking White's corner, I'd be like, if I see you look up at his fucking head once, I'm gonna throw a bucket of fucking ice water on you in front of everybody. You better be just aiming at his chest. Throw everything at his chest. Hit him in the arms. Hit him in the chest. Just hit him. Touch him. Because he hits so hard everywhere he touches him. Yeah. Exactly. When you're not
Did you
hitting
see how you
him,
read in his body, Jimmy?
Exactly.
Did you see how you read in his body on the right side?
Yeah, because
our
he kept
left,
falling
we're
into the
facing the camera.
ropes. Kept falling into the fucking ropes so hard.
This is why punching power is so important. Because when you're not like a skilled fighter like Dillian Whyte, you're gonna be in fights where a big shot is gonna fucking bow you out in situations, and that's what's happened with Dillian Whyte a few times. Look, Parker, he bowed him out with a big shot. That left hook that dropped Parker bowed him out because it was close on the card. Then you've got Chisora. Most people had Chisora winning. He pulled that leg. This is why punching power is really important. When you're limited the skills like Dillian Whyte, it's important to land the big shots. And you know this is why he's never going to be a top heavyweight. Well, like the elite.
He is top heavyweight though. Rough and rugged. He
Yeah.
throws hooks. Just think of that drum in the Karate Kid 2 movie. Side to side action. When he's
I think Stu's talking about style. I think Stu's talking about style. Right, Stu? Is that what you're saying?
Sorry?
Well, rough and
You're talking
rugged.
about his
Rough and
boxing.
rugged.
Wait, his boxing style. You don't think this?
Yeah,
like, he'll be top notch?
I'm talking about style. Like when you're not skilled and you have poor footwork, poor balance, and stuff like that. Like Carl Froch, you have to have some sort of pop behind your shots. And this is why Carl Froch did so well in boxing, because his skills were very limited. Toughness, will to win, determination, and a big punch got him so far. And I think Dillian Whyte's that sort of fight where his punching power and his will to win will get him so far. I just think when it comes to the top guys, he's just going to fall a little bit short for me.
How do you think he do against Usyk?
I like Dillian Whyte, man. I like him.
Stu, how do you think he'll do against Dillian Whyte? I mean, how do you think Dillian Whyte would do against Usyk, Stu?
Yeah, so I see Recognize said that Usyk would knock him out. I honestly believe that's a harder fight for Usyk than people think, because Usyk, yeah, he had his troubles with Chisora. I had him winning comfortably, but still, Chisora put it on him, and he didn't look great. Dillian Whyte. The thing is, if Dillian Whyte lands clean on the button, it's night. You know, so
all right. White does get a little wild sometimes, but just not. It's not all black and white. Sometimes he gets wild, sometimes he doesn't. When he went for the knockout and landed that left hook, he landed and he caught that target on the move. Povetkin, he was moving, he went in for the kill, he landed that shot. Prior to that, he landed a right hook, then he landed a left hook. To catch a moving target, he landed the punches. It's not always black and white. Sometimes he's wild, sometimes he's not. He's wild when he goes for the kill. Doesn't mean he's necessarily wild all the time.
Well, that's a good point, Gonzalo. But that's a good listen. Gonzalo's got a point, because look, if White goes for the kill and he loses his composure, that leaves Usyk's chances for punches down the middle. But like Jimmy said, body. That's the key for White, because you could tell that Usyk was bothered a little bit by the body shots from Chisora, but it's just Chisora couldn't keep that intensity up. Now, if White can do that, plus jab him from the outside, he has a better jab than Chisora's, and Chisora was scoring with jabs, flush jabs, by the way, against Usyk. So I don't think it's an easy as fight as people make it out to be, man, for Usyk.
No, it's not. No, that's a tough fight for you. That's a tough fight for Usyk. Right now, anyone in the top 5 is a tough fight for Usyk. You know, Usyk.
Yeah.
I mean, Usyk has slowed down at heavyweight, and like I said, all it takes is a fighter to slow down half a yard, and that could be the difference to avoiding a shot and getting knocked the fuck out.
Exactly, Stu. Exactly. These guys are good. And to create separation between the best this era and the guys that are just one step beneath, it's only just a little bit. Whether it's protecting yourself and not getting caught by the punch like Vladimir did when some of these guys got a vulnerable chin. But if you know how to carry yourself, that you can rise above these other guys by doing something differently, or whether you had that hard chin, or the amazing hand speed, or the punching power like Deontay Wilder, who can adapt and make themselves just a little bit better than the other guys because they're all kind of equal.
Hey, fellas, by the way, before we continue...
I'm sorry, BDA,
yes,
go ahead.
Just before we continue, we got a phone call, so the phone lines are about to close, so let's get to it real quick. Shit, now they hung up. Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
Oh, okay, so what Gonzalo just said actually defines Usyk more than it defines White. The ones that can do that thing a little bit different, the one that can actually adjust, the ones that can... White doesn't show me a person that's like, oh, shit, this isn't going my way, I got to go to a plan B. I don't see him doing that too often. I don't see him doing it much at all. The other thing is he's big and strong, but when you've got 27 wins and 19 knockouts, it's almost 10 fights that have gone the distance since you've been at the world top level, not at the beginning of your career. You usually have to wear a guy down. So are you going to be able to catch this guy to wear him down? And then in the process, are you going to get tired? Not to mention 6'3" versus 6'4", so they're close to the same height, and we're fighting a southpaw now. These left hooks may not be there. Are you going to be able to rely on your straight right hand, which he has not really shown as his biggest weapon? Is his jab going to be able to really land because he can neutralize it with his own jab because he's a southpaw? So this isn't going to be easy for either fighter, but I think it's going to be a little bit more off for White because he's going to be in against something he hasn't faced very often, whereas it's going to be normal for Usyk.
I agree with everything, almost everything you said. The only thing that I disagree, he is a knockout puncher, but we're not going to go by the stats.
I'm going by the guys that went the distance with him.
Well, because he couldn't knock him out doesn't mean that he doesn't have the power to knock one guy out with one shot at any particular given moment of a fight when things are going down, especially against a smaller guy that's prone to injuries. That's one thing that I have to say. But I mean,
big-time knockout punchers knock people out with one shot early, often Tyson-like. This guy wears people down. He does. It's in his record. We show it. You look at it. That's what it is.
If he went headhunting, that would be the worst thing for him to do against Usyk. The worst thing to do. Again, I would say stare at his chest and hit him in the arms. Hit him in the fucking shoulder.
I'm with you. That's the way to win.
Exactly. He needs to, because of his build, he needs just to kind of crab up, work on his defense. You know what I mean? Usyk doesn't hit that high. I mean, he hits hard, but if you can, get your arms to catch most of it, and again, when he gets in close enough, just hit him anywhere. Just touch him. Every time someone the size of Dillian Whyte punches you, even with the 10-ounce glove in the arm, it fucking hurts.
Hell yeah, 250 pounds.
Dude, exactly. You start getting punches in the fucking arm, it takes the sting off your jab. It takes the snap off your jab.
That's what
when that guy's
with a punch.
When that guy's 250, you remember he's a bigger man than that, so he's in shape, he's fucking elusive, he can fucking let his hands go, but I agree with what he needs to do, but I just think that Usyk might. Let's see if it happens. I think
Usyk's more smart there. That would be hard.
Yeah, he'll just pick off everything he's trying to do. Everything he's trying to do, he'll pick it off.
White's chin. We got to question that. I mean, Povetkin's not a feather-fisted guy, but he's not the biggest knockout puncher in the world. White's been stopped twice.
Right. I mean, listen, he got chin checked pretty early against Anthony Joshua. He got knocked out later in his career against Povetkin, who's one of the small. He's on the smaller side of the heavyweight division. Yeah, so.
Yeah, both big. That uppercut that Povetkin landed on Dillian Whyte, I mean, that would have knocked
mate.
Yeah, that knocked out a lot of guys.
That'd have knocked out fucking Buffalo, mate.
Yeah, because he didn't see it coming.
Well, this is the thing with heavyweight boxing. This is why it's so exciting, because you could be fucking dominating every second of every round, and the next minute you're fucking sleeping on the canvas, and that's what happened.
These men are 220 plus pounds. They can knock out anybody.
The thing is, people got too excited by Povetkin. Povetkin was shot to pieces, getting his fucking ass whooped. Honestly, he was getting his ass whooped, mate, and he pulled out a lucky shot.
He was more steady on his legs. You notice that? He was steady. He was weak. He was. I think that first punch took him out of the fight. I mean, maybe he came in with the wrong game plan. I don't know. But when
No,
soon
he's
as he got
finished,
hurt,
mate. Old, shot to
old.
He looked
pieces.
old. I think he's
legs
older
weren't
than he
there.
says he is.
That
His
that
legs weren't
fucking
there.
that knockout win in the first fight, it sort of like filled the cracks of what Povetkin really was. The man's a 39-year-old guy, right?
40.
Shot to pieces.
I wouldn't
And
doubt
you
it
know
if he
what?
was
Yeah,
closer
he's
to
shot to pieces,
45.
but he is a good fighter. You could even say that he was a great fighter at one point in time. Maybe the wrong game plan, or maybe he thought that once the fight got to a certain point that he could do something different, because it was obviously hard to deal with White when you got this big, strong man coming at you in the beginning of the fight that you cannot quite settle down and do what you need to do. But he got up, he rolls off the canvas. Why? Because he still got the will and desire to think that he can do something that maybe he wasn't allowed to do against a younger, stronger man. But just because he's 39, 40 doesn't mean he's a garbage fighter, or 42 hours, but he's just old. He's shot to pieces. I do agree.
Well, listen, when it comes to Dillian Whyte, we'll have to see, man, because again, he wants the winner of Joshua Fury. Again, he's going to have to wait because those guys might fight 2 or even 3 times. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does in the meantime. If he does get a Wilder fight, I think he would settle for that. Because say what you want about Wilder, but he's still a decent name when it comes to popularity.
BDA. I was just going to go back not shot to pieces. Povetkin's still dangerous, but just the fact that the presence of I'm gonna keep harping on a White, such big and strong power, decent enough that you cannot really say, oh, the first shot that I'm gonna throw, fucking Dillian White's gonna fall to the canvas. No, he's still dangerous. Povetkin's still dangerous, but not enough, not quite enough to present a challenge to a fighter in his prime that's on the upper echelon, maybe not the top tier of the elite, the top 3, but still dangerous. Right.
I think he'd be I think he'd be an extra kind to Povetkin. You know what I mean? I agree with what you're saying about his skill.
Experience.
No, experience.
You're never gonna lose experience.
I think as you're getting older, like I went through that too. When I started getting older, I started giving the older guys a little more credit. You wanted to start saying, yeah. But no, listen, hey, he looked like an old 39, right? He looked old tonight, dude. He looked slow. He looked soft. He looked disinterested at times. I don't know. I don't know why everybody made such a big deal about the second fight. Like, I thought the first fight he should have walked through fucking, Povetkin from what I saw him the last outing. And then when he was beating him pretty handily, actually. He just got caught with a punch he didn't see. So I didn't think it was really that big of a rematch. He did exactly what he should have done and what everybody thought he was going to do.
Look, I give Povetkin credit, man.
I
give Povetkin credit because if you think about it, right, like when he started to do business with Eddie Hearn threw all his best fighters, and you think about Povetkin's position, all the shit that's happened, a lot of it, unjust. He just like, fuck it, give me your best guys, and so when you do that, look, man, you're gonna lose fights. I mean, he did well against Anthony Joshua until he got stopped. He goes in there, he knocks out Dillian Whyte. They make him run it back right away, and this time it was a little different. How many guys in the game today would Wilder ever do that? Hell no.
Well, it wasn't a little different, dude. It was actually the same thing. He was lost every minute of the other fight until he landed that one punch, and then tonight he lost every minute of the fight.
It's basically like what I'm trying to say.
And I thought he didn't take this fight by his look of his midsection and his muscle. It looked like he was eating. Just probably at his age, he knew it. It's just hard to keep that same focus and that. He probably has kids. I don't know. He's probably married with kids. It's hard to
his
put
wife is
yourself
good
into
looking.
that camp.
His wife is a good looking woman.
No kidding.
It's like this, Jimmy. Basically, like, okay, White, powerful. He looked good. He was in shape. But have somebody that's less than what White looked today. Maybe Povetkin jumps on him because he's just a little bit more competitive to where the experience and the skill will prevail. But since the threat was so big, and you don't even have to feel, he felt the punches, but just being inside the ring and knowing what's in front of you, that
I think
a fighter knows, man.
Povetkin would have had the same strength in his legs and his, just his whole body that he had in the first fight, the same energy. It would have been a different fight.
There you go, buddy. There you go.
Look,
Nailed it.
But at this age, when you take a beating like that, after that long amateur career, after everybody you fought, after all the ups and all the downs, and you're about to turn 40, I'm sorry, Gonzalo. There comes a time when you don't have it anymore. And I don't think Povetkin's got it against any prime heavyweight. He wasn't even winning the first fight by a close margin. He wasn't even winning this fight by any margin. He got that shot in that he needed to save his life that night. It was desperation, nothing more. He's not going to do it again.
I agree. The only thing I would say, Jay, is that in the first fight, if you look, he was never out of it. He was never completely out of it. This fight, he was. From the
If
first
they
fight.
put him in the
In his
ring
mind, he
again,
might not have been. In his mind, he might not have been.
Well, desperation. I agree with everything, but desperation. If you don't know how to fight and you're desperate, you're gonna be extra wild and you're gonna get knocked out. You don't know what you're doing. You gotta have skill, especially in a moment like that, to where you gotta harness all your ability to zone in and be able to throw a shot.
He would have thrown any other shot in that night. Any other shot that night. Right uppercut, overhand right, left hook, anything other than dipping his shot down to throw an uppercut on a guy who was bending over in front of him. He gets knocked out because he was on his way out.
Yeah, but that was skill though. That was skill, like Marquez against Pacquiao. But that guy got afforded 4 fights over 30 rounds of an opportunity to do that. It was skill. I mean, the guy's old. Yeah, I agree.
That punch, that routine, I could tell that guy's probably done that a million times in his fucking life. That was the first knockout, the first fight when he knocked out Dillian Whyte.
Right.
He was still the same thing. He was mentally, like Jay said, mentally he was in it in the first fight. The second fight, he wasn't. He was taken out.
And this beautiful, man. I like it the way that Dillian Whyte catered to him, extended that stool, especially the high one that he carries into the ring because he's a tall man, and he was courteous to a Povetkin. Hey man, you knocked me out one time. Now I knocked you out. I'm the younger man, but that I give credit to that, man. These champions, man. These guys are good fighters.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Look, listen. At the end of the day, Whyte did what he had to. He earned his celebration tonight. If he does want to celebrate, and now the sky's the limit for him. In a way, him and Povetkin are very similar fighters. They both had a taste of the big time. Whyte when he fought Joshua, even though they were both prospects, and Povetkin against Klitschko and against Joshua. He had the misfortune rather, that when he fought Joshua, he was past his prime, and when he fought Klitschko, Klitschko used his height, reach, and weight advantage to essentially sexually assault him. That's what it was. If Klitschko would have done that to a woman, it would have been deemed sexual assault. So Povetkin just had the misfortune of fighting those two guys. Now Whyte, though, he's 32, I believe, so he still has a lot of opopportunity to make something happen. Was that
32-year-old versus a 41-year-old man who's battle tested, warned. It makes sense. It makes sense what happened.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not his biggest win, Povetkin. Povetkin has a very good resume, but again, 40 years old, it takes a little bit of the luster away from the win. Now, before we get out of here, I just wanted to ask you, fellas, De La Hoya announced on last night's Jake Paul versus, or I forget, one of those Paul guys versus that UFC guy, the one who looks like Sideshow Bob. De La Hoya announced that he wants to come back. Now, I know at first some people say, "Oh, come on!" But if he comes back on the old man circuit and fights, like a Trade of Trinidad or something, like Roy Jones and Mike Tyson, would you guys have a problem with that, or?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I don't have a problem with it. I just wouldn't watch it. I'd have no.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay for it probably, but no. Yeah,
I wouldn't even watch it. He's a shell of himself. The dude's a fucking dude. I watched an interview from Fight Hub. Again, he keeps talking to Kid Marcos Fierro.
Que se prende, nunca se pierde. Yeah, but
dude, the whole time
lost it a long time ago.
The whole time he's wiping his nose. I'm like, oh my god, dude! There's somebody behind Marcos going, "Hey, dude, you got coke all on you?" Because he was so worried about it. Was, dude, listen, I've been around enough people doing zingers, and he just must have banged a rail and got caught coming out of the bathroom. And by this dude to ask him a question, because you could tell he just started. He was in the fucking interview, and all of a sudden you could tell he just got the drip. Just started happening. He's like, "Uh-oh." But
only part be interested is that De La Hoya fights.
Fucking drug addict too.
If he fights Golovkin, because Golovkin got it in for him, he want to kill him. And if De La Hoya fights Canelo, because Canelo and him, they got something in between.
I mean, they were They'll kill him, man. Come on, man. Let's not even talk about this.
De La Hoya's a cheese ball. He kissed his fist. Can't be ready. I'm ready. He kissed his fist, and then he fucking dropped the mic like fucking super cringe.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I didn't see it, but some people said that it all seemed scripted, and that when De La Hoya has always been a bit of a cornball because in a lot of ways he was like that. But like in a lot of ways he was like Sugar Ray Leonard in the sense that he never really gave you the straight answer in public. He was always thinking before speaking. Now, some people are going to say, well, BDA, you're saying he should just be unfiltered? No, but he does the opposite to the extreme. He thinks way too much about what he wants to say, and he never really, and rarely does he speak the truth. Like, remember when he's always had it against Mayweather, right? And when Ronda Rousey was at her peak and people were saying that she could beat Floyd Mayweather, he jumped on board of that and said, oh yeah, Ronda Rousey's the best, blah, blah, blah. I can't wait till she gets into boxing. And then before you know it, she gets outstruck in 2 fights in a row. So he seems a fake to me, man. De La Hoya always seemed a little bit fake to me, man. Great fighter, but yeah.
And he probably got a chip on his shoulder now because he's been carrying it's not allegations. He got caught with those crazy pictures, him dressed as a woman. So he might have a little bit of a passive aggressive energy going on, especially with the whole spatula thing that just came around a couple years ago. Just recently, I mean. Yeah, man. I do believe the dude's a man, but all the things he's done has been fishy. He wants to prove himself as a man right now.
Yeah, probably. That's a good point, man. And I'm going to play the clip here where he says he's coming back, all right? Because I didn't see it, so this is the first time I'm saying it. Hold on. You guys can watch it on the... Well, actually, you'll hear it, but if you watch on the screen, I'm not sharing it on Discord, but if you watch on the YouTube screen, you'll see what's going on.
Me. I think you should tell him, man, it's you, not me.
Okay. July 3rd, I'm making my comeback.
Ooh.
Oh.
I mean, you could tell.
I mean, this fucking he looks like he eats cheesecakes all day. Like,
you could tell he practiced that a whole bunch of times in his hotel room.
He sniffs coke and he eats cheesecakes all day. Like, this guy's not for real. It's a fat blimp. He's gonna get in there and get hurt. I hope he does. Honestly.
How come he does?
You know, and it's kind of stupid. You know, when he's hitting the pads and he knocks the pad out that dude's hand. How many times have you not done that when you're hitting the pads?
Exactly.
I'm surprised that a professional fighter, when he fucking does it, everybody's got to go, whoa, that's spectacular, man.
Sometimes it slips off. It's not like...
Yeah, it's all the time when you're in the fucking pads. And you know why it slips off? If you hit it incorrectly. You have to hit the center of the pad. If you're accurate on hitting the pads, that will not happen.
Gonzalo dropping knowledge right there, man. It's true.
Yeah.
And Gonzalo dropping extreme knowledge there. I mean, that's one of the go-to moves.
Then he's got another fucking drug addict up there in Snoop the Snitch, right? And these dudes are cornballs, man.
Yeah, but by the way, didn't Snoop Dogg grow up in a rich neighborhood or something like that?
Yes, he grew up in. Yes, no, he didn't grow up in.
He did grow up. Yeah, he probably did.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't grow up in South Central LA. Put it this way: he grew up in Long Beach, but a section of Long Beach that was middle class. Yes, he was. Go. That's the reason why. Yeah, Suge Knight never respected him and fucking said a lot of shit about him because of that. But I mean, that's whatever. But yeah, no. Listen, what I don't like is the hypocrisy when this was first talked about, when he wasn't involved, when it was even Mayweather fighting the MMA guy, he called it just, he even actually wrote an open letter saying how this is a circus and this isn't what the sport needs. So wait a minute. So that's a circus, but a 47-year-old cokehead alcoholic who's been fucking feasting, training at the cheesecake factory, fighting another dude who hasn't been in the ring in 17 years isn't a circus? Fuck out of here.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a difference between... Because here's the difference between Mayweather and what happened later. At the time when Mayweather fought McGregor, there was still the hope that Mayweather was going to come back as a real fighter, a real boxer, and fight some of the top guys. Because that was only 2 years after his last fight. But now it's clear he's never coming back. So I cut him some slack in whatever exhibition fight he does. And I cut De La Hoya a little bit of slack too. But the fact remains, like you said, Jimmy, he was talking so much shit about Mayweather. And now that he's seeing that it's working in a business sense, he's like, hey, let me get back. I'm the golden boy. I can make it happen. Hey, nah, man.
It's all it is. It's an ego stroke. That's all it is. When you're a fighter, have you ever been to a fight Ever been to one of these fights and you're standing next to a fucking ex-champion? You see him rolling his shoulders and with fucking they're dodging, and they can't help it. Like Mickey even sometimes he has a hard time going to the fights because he's like, fuck, you miss it. If you're really into it, depends. If you're in it for the money, if you're in it because you actually like fighting, it's hard to walk away from that.
Well, that's what Gabriel, I think it was Gabriel or Rafael Ruelas, they said that the reason why they didn't train, one of them said that the reason why he didn't train was because if he started hitting the bag, then he would start sparring, and once he started sparring, he would want to get back in the ring for real. So, yeah, some of these guys, they really do have that fire, and they can get rid of it. But with De La Hoya,
they walk away.
Right. Now, the other thing
they don't train anymore. Those. Well, I'm sorry, dude.
I seen one of the Relos fighters fighting, sparring on the Facebook not too long ago, a couple months ago.
No kidding. Oh, well, maybe now they know that it's too late for them to come back, so they're a little safer. Did you guys see this whole thing with Teofimo Lopez Sr. saying that if they don't fight on pay-per-view, they're not fighting at all?
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on with this?
He did what he wanted to fool the public. And man, he beat Lomachenko, the pound for pound guy, but he did what everybody maybe thought that he was gonna do, and he fucking tried to fool us. But look at him, look at what he's doing.
His father said, "We ain't fighting with Top Rank no more unless it's pay-per-view." So the whole issue is money. Now we already know that Teofimo Lopez is getting paid more or less what he deserves in terms of his Q rating and in terms of his accomplishments. Because let's face the facts, like we always say, just because you're one of the best pound for pound doesn't mean you're gonna make a lot of money. Unfortunately, this is a form of show business, and if you don't have the ratings, the following, whether it's on social media, television, whatever, these guys are not gonna pay you the amount of money you want. He's earning pretty good money, by the way, and he's not earning any more or that much less than some of the other guys. Ryan Garcia, say what you want about him, but for some reason he captured the imagination and the attention span of all these Zoomers. Devin Haney, he's another guy not making that much money himself. He's actually making good money considering the guys he's fighting. And so with Teofimo Lopez, he can't. Does he really have that much cause to complain and demand pay-per-view fights?
That's why I get upset with people who defend this shit. Like I forgot who it was. Somebody who came on over here was talking about, well, he needs to make more money or at least the same amount of money relative to his peers. Somebody said some stupid shit like that. I forgot who it was. And I'm like, well, I mean, you're assuming they're making that much money. I'm sure that Teofimo is making just about the same amount of money as they are now. They might have different ventures. I mean, don't blame the market on Teo and his family being stupid. That's between them. So anyway, this whole thing with the $4 million, dude, I'm telling you, he's getting like $6 million?
Well,
you think he's gonna accept lower?
No, I thought it was like 3 something.
Yeah, the 6 million is it's gonna be split. So he's probably gonna get
right. 6 million is gonna be split. He's getting 75% of that, right?
But who's to say what the draw is though?
But here's the thing, Jimmy. He's not gonna ever budge from that. He will never. Not you think that he's gonna go backward. Like, in other words, he's gonna fight Cambosa for, I don't know, for $5 million, $4.5 million, whatever the purse split is. He's not gonna accept. He's gonna want Devin Haney for fucking $10 million. I mean, I don't think that fight's worth that much. He's gonna want Lomachenko rematch for more than Cambosa's.
Well, that's just it. When is he going to want the? I mean, I'm surprised he didn't give it to him right away. The fight being as close as it was.
He probably would get it too. He probably would get it, but it's just like, I don't give a fuck. I don't.
But who's to say? My thing is this: Trill's kind of putting himself in a position now. If they load this card up with a bunch of undercards and they're doing some circuit matches, is Jake Paul on that? Is he the one? Is he fighting Askin on that card?
He's one of those five brothers, yeah.
That's okay, right. Now Askin is a terrible boxer, dude. He was a fucking collegiate wrestler. Mm-hmm. He left. He got beat up at the end of his career. In one, he was like a great wrestler, but yeah, at the end he got torched up, and then he went over to UFC and got fucking smoked around. So he's never been good on his feet. He's not a good boxer.
No, not
That's
at all.
why that weirdo Jake Paul is going to fight him. Like, but who cares? Like, I literally, man, I would fucking. If somebody even asked me to watch that, I'd be pissed. But Who's to say
That's
how many
fucked up.
YouTube?
But you know, Jimmy, you know the angle he's using. I believe Jake Paul's gonna knock him out. He does hit hard, and Askren is limited, like you said. But the fact that he's throwing UFC's name into the mix, talking about I'm gonna expose all the UFC. This fucker's clout chasing, and he's gonna garner the attention of all the YouTube people through this Thriller app.
But that's
Right.
that's my
He said-
point, though, right? How many boxing fans are buying this, and how many YouTubers? How do they know that? So what happens if this thing does 2 million buys? Fumo's going
There's
to
a lot
think
of
this is
army
on me.
people in the UFC.
Yeah.
Because I was in the
Well,
army, man. A lot of people in the army follow the UFC. It's gonna sell, bro. It's gonna sell.
I see now. I don't think asking, dude. Nobody liked him in the UFC. He had no fan base there.
But he's
So I don't see
using the
why-
UFC name. He's
Yeah, but
attaching
nobody.
himself to the name.
But he can attach himself to the name if he was fighting a good, well-loved UFC fighter. If there's no fan base who cares what he does, they're not going to care if he goes box. The reason why he has to do that is, like, he came into the UFC and stunk the place up. He got trounced. Remember, he got knocked out in like 8 seconds in his first match in the UFC, and he runs his mouth. Asking, yeah, he got a fucking knee to the skull. Masvidal, was it Masvidal did it?
Masvidal.
Yeah, Masvidal. Okay, maybe the UFC brushes that under the rug. I believe that.
But look,
But I think if he took on a big name UFC guy, yes, that would, a well-liked guy like Gaethje or somebody.
The point is, we're gonna, yeah, okay. Look, I kind of agree with Gonzalo. That main event could go either way, because don't underestimate the Zoomer market. These guys are into some weird stuff, and that Paul guy, he's a big name. It remains to be seen. But the fact is, going back to recognize his point, which is Lopez is getting paid a certain amount, and he says no more fights unless they're pay-per-view. Okay, let's say Eddie Hearn snatches him away from Top Rank. But by the way, he would have to pay Bob Arum a shitload of money for him to be able to get Lopez, and that would be if Arum is willing to let him go. Then what happens? Let's say he goes with Eddie Hearn. Okay, they make the Devin Haney fight. He's probably not going to get Lomachenko again, because Top Rank is not going to want to do business with the guy. He's probably not going to go up to 140 to take on the winner of Taylor Ramirez, because again, those guys are with Bob Arum, if I'm correct. I think Taylor's with, yeah. So
that's the plan. That's the plan.
Yeah, but if he leaves Top Rank, he's not going to get those guys, right? So
no, he's not.
That's what I'm saying. That's the plan, right? Like, why? If you got these fights on the horizon, why cause a beef? Listen, man, this dude is. He's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. He's good. He's a good. He's strong. He's a weight bully. I mean, go look at him. Go look at him when he's not boxing. Yo, he's huge. He's like 165. Okay, so he's a big. Yeah, he's big. He can drop down. He could drop down to 135. Come fight night, he's about 15 to 20 pounds rehydrated, and he's ready to fuck you up. He will hurt you. There's no doubt about that. Yep. But why would a guy who just came off the biggest win of his career and has the chance to fight all these big fights with Bob Arum start causing a riff about money, and even going as far as going to another promotion crew or whatever, and just basically do it for money? I mean, I know what he's doing it for. He's doing it because he's setting the market for himself. The market's going to be, this is my going price. If you can't do that, then I'll take it. I'll take it somewhere else.
But can I say why that's? But it's all smoke and mirrors, because he's not setting the market, because he's not carrying that pay-per-view. That's what I'm saying. Jake Paul.
Right, he's not carrying. That's another thing.
So that's another thing. He's going to say if this thing does $2 million, that knucklehead is going to think it was because of him, and then he goes to fight another fucking slug like he's fighting next, and then he does. Now, if they were carrying the pay-per-view, if that was solely on him, that thing doesn't do 150,000 buys.
Now, let me say something here, man. This is a complete assumption from my part. I think this is all the wife's doing. She seems to be like, she already caused a rift between him and his father. She seems to be like the type of woman that gets involved in the guy's business. Why aren't you getting paid?
BDA, it could be BDA, but what does that say about his character, right?
I know.
When you're a real man, you speak to your woman, with respect, and you let her know, listen, I take care of all this, you take care of all that. That's what that's the relationship that I want with you. You let her know this is my business, and nobody, you don't have a say. You don't have a say about who I fight and how much money I'm gonna get.
You know what I do with my woman when she starts with my woman when she starts yapping, like let's say she comes over and she goes BDA, well, you know, the neighbors blah blah blah, and the fence goes over the property and we're getting into a property dispute. I go, all right, you just lost all your talking points for the rest of the day. No more talking out of you. That's it. She used up all
You
her
know what's
talking
funny,
points.
BDA? I'm nothing to them and they're nothing to me. But when I saw that girl, it reminded me of my ex-wife, 100%. For some reason, she looks like her too.
You mean
you talking about
Lopez's wife?
Teofimo's wife, his lady, or wife?
That's
whatever
right.
she
That's
is?
right. Yeah.
Well, he doesn't. He's not too smart about this.
No,
If
make
he
no
did, he would
mistake. That's
check his-
Mrs.
he would
Lopez.
check- Yeah, he would
That's
check
Mrs.
his
Lopez.
history. He would learn his history and know that Top Rank. Like Bob's an evil motherfucker. Like he's done it in the past. He sat motherfuckers out in their prime of their career. You think like he would pay $2 million to ruin his life? You know what I mean? Like he'll pay $2 million to put that
Right. It's like that
motherfucker
gangster code. I'm
on
gonna
a
show you.
on
I'm
a
gonna show you who I am. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to
Don't
shelf
fuck
him.
me.
You watch. You won't. He'll eat money just to not let him fight. Like, and the thing is, like, this is you can't gauge what these numbers do. It's not going to be true because he's got a bunch of different things in. And the YouTubers have already shown that they'll buy it. Buy Jake Paul's fight. So I don't see where this kid's going, but I think he's got a head. I think he's got his head up his fucking culo.
Hey, by the way,
Let me
if
say something.
Paracoa,
He's gonna-
real quick, recognize.
Yeah, I wanted to
Just to clarify,
true, man.
Just to clarify, Paracoa says that Teofimo Lopez is not on the poll card. So we got that. I gotta find out where he's fighting exactly. But go ahead, recognize. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, listen. Whatever card he is, who cares, right? We just want to see him fight the best fights. But look, he's rubbing people the wrong way. He's starting to burn bridges, and that's gonna come back to bite him. And he better understand something. He better understand this. He better understand the Latino market and all that stuff, right? And I know, of course, he would be smart to dig into that. But even as a Puerto Rican, Mexicans run that shit. And there's a Mexican looking for you, brother. And if you beat that Mexican, there'll be another one. And you beat that Mexican, there'll be another one. They're gonna keep coming.
And Salvadorians have burned a lot of. Oh, he's not Salvadorian. Just go ahead.
No, he's Honduras. He's from Honduras.
Honduran.
Yeah,
Honduras. The name of Honduras is because the ocean around the island of Honduras.
He's Guatemalan.
Okay.
Well, whatever he is, they'll find
guys that burned a lot of bridges.
Okay, hold on, Gonzalo.
They'll find a Mexican and beat his ass. Okay, they will.
Well, I was the biggest fucking. Way before he even signed to fight Lomachenko, I was on here saying he was, he was one of my top prospects. I was really into the kid, even after he looked good because I could see, you could see some of the shit in there. Now it's gone the other way. Like fuck him. I don't care if I ever see the kid fight again. I don't like kids like him. I don't like kids who sign fucking contracts and then renege on them and think they're worth more because you're not, dude. You know what I mean? Like fight Lomachenko again or fight regular guys. I don't give a fuck. Put on pay-per-view. Do whatever you got to do. You ain't paying my fucking car payment, so I don't give a fuck.
I mean, credit to him. Lucky motherfucker. The Matrix figured him out too late. I know he won the 12th round. Where Teofimo kind of took it back, but he was getting beat up in the last round.
He was losing that fucking round. Absolutely. When the Matrix turned it on with the bad shoulder, he was fucking beating him. And I think he knows that. He watches that fucking tape, and he knew there was nothing else he could do. You know what I mean? Like, if Lomachenko wasn't tentative, wasn't injured, whatever the fuck made him act like a moron for 7 rounds, if he just went in there and fought and used his talent, we saw what happened. I think he would have dazzled him out.
Can I say something real quick? John Gonzalez in the chat room, shout out to him. He sent a super chat. He says Golovkin didn't let his wife interfere in his career. Well, that's the way they do it over there in Kazakhstan, man. They don't play around with that. So shout out to John Gonzalez for his contribution. Teofimo Lopez is headlining, I think, his own card. So we'll see what happens with him. But again, you never know how this boxing stuff could turn out. I remember when Bernard Hopkins beat Trinidad. And then he fought Carl Daniels, and then he fought Hakar, and people were saying, "What's this guy doing? Like he's ruining his career. He's killing his momentum." Even Larry Merchant was giving it to him in one of the post-fight interviews. Then what happened? Boom, sets himself up for the De La Hoya fight and makes a lot of money. So you never know, man. Things could look bad right now for Teofimo Lopez, but he could be.
I think he has the momentum of. Remember, his last fight was the best competition you can go up against in terms of where he's at lightweight. So what he's doing, or what it looks like he's doing, he looks like he's pricing himself out of future big fights. That's what he looks like he's doing, and it looks like he's doing it purposely. I'm not saying he's scared of these guys. I'm saying he's doing that where these fights are going to be hard to be, to get made, because I got a set amount of money that I want to make.
Is the DAZN, is that a platform that even uses pay-per-view?
No. There were some rumors.
So Trill and PBC, because the pay-per-view market is dead. It's a dead market. Those numbers Spence puts out and all this, it's a crock of shit. Those they're not doing good numbers. And the fact that Spence, how fast have they knocked away with that? Remember that fucking that narrative? Oh, the biggest name in boxing, until in three fights his pay-per-view numbers dropped by a third.
Oh.
So that it did. It went down 50,000 increments. It dropped by basically a third in 3 fights.
Crazy.
In the fact
I want to get something on my chest. Sorry, Jimmy.
You want to get something on your chest? Okay, hold on, real quick. Shout out to. Hold on, real quick.
Dump them kids off.
Hold on. Oh, come on. Shout out to Amok PvP for his contribution. He didn't leave a message, but shout out to Amok PvP. Shout out to Amok PvP for his contribution. Go ahead, Gonzalo. Get it off your chest.
You gotta be careful what you say in front of VDA.
That's right.
I always thought that La Hoya took a dive, and I don't know how old I was at the time. I thought that, but I guess weight classes make a difference. Because he didn't, I guess, right?
The way he reacted was funny. That's all I'll say about that. But I think he was going to lose anyway. Maybe he just said, time for me to lose now.
So now they're business partners, something fishy about that.
He was getting beat up. And
towards the end, he was getting beat up.
Yeah,
I agree. He won some rounds early, Pucho. He did. De La Hoya was winning some rounds. Boxing. He was kind of outboxing him. First 3 rounds. 4 rounds, maybe.
Hey, by the way,
Thunderdome that gas tank issue. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Thunderdome in the chat says, I guess solving the Matrix means taking a round that Loma took off. Laughing my fucking ass off. Yeah, listen, we got to do a special episode, and we do have to stay on topic for that one. Rewatch the certain parts, because we can't watch more than 5 seconds of each clip.
Dude, I watched that last round. That last round is very interesting, right? Everybody's like, oh, he almost knocked out Lomachenko. No. He fought back and he hurt Lomachenko while Lomachenko kept going forward. Because he was like in desperate mode. Like, I got to win this fucking round. And I think he was trying to knock him out. He was trying to knock out just everything. There's a big difference of almost knocking a guy out. You could counter punch somebody and they get a little dazed. That doesn't mean you almost knocked them out.
Exactly. Well, here's the other thing, man. People keep saying that Lopez solved the Matrix. To me, it clearly seemed, because people, that's the thing. People came up with Lopez was gonna beat him, right? Most of these people picked him by knockout. But hold on, most people picked him by knockout. But so then when he ended up winning, they had to say, "Oh, see, I got it right." Lopez was doing things to Lomachenko, and that's why Lomachenko wasn't putting the pressure on. But to me, it seemed
he did solve the Matrix.
It seemed to me like Jermaine Taylor versus Bernard Hopkins. Because that was essentially the same thing. Hopkins took it slow because he knew he wanted to turn it up late. Taylor wasn't landing that much cleanly, and then once
that was a perfect analogy. Yep.
Right. So when people say he whooped Lomachenko, I mean, come on, you're being.
That's their fucking listen. These dudes are jerk offs. They jerk off while they listen to like boxing talk and shit. This is their fantasy. In no way he was whipping Lomachenko's ass. Now he did kind of solve the Matrix in the sense of, he was just a big dude, had him thinking, and basically, Lomachenko fought like shit. Let's be honest, he fought like shit for the first 6 rounds of the fucking fight. He didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
He
didn't pull the car out of the driveway. That's okay. He didn't pull the car out of the driveway, and that could be interpreted as 2 things. He doesn't want to get hit with the counter shot by the bigger guy, or he's just being smart.
Understood, but still, I give Teo some credit for a couple of things that he did. He was standing wide. He had his feet positioned right as a big man, and yes, Lomachenko didn't do anything, but Teofimo didn't make any. He didn't make it easy for him either.
But here's the thing I don't understand.
Lomachenko's immense talent. Why he was even fighting at 135? The kid should be at 126, 130.
Exactly.
Tops. It's only because of his immense talent that he's even there. You know what I
Teo
mean?
should,
And
Teo should be
you
at
know when they
140.
lifted Teofimo, no, put it this way, the LDBC, well,
Welterweight.
Fred Hawthorne calls the moment they lifted his arm, Teofimo's arm in the wind, he calls it, here's the money shot. So what does that tell you?
Well, listen.
Hey, Jimmy, I have to get another thing off my, not on my chest, off my chest.
Gonzalo, stop screaming.
But this is a question to you.
Okay, but hold on. Can I say something real quick? Here's my argument. Look,
Sure.
Lopez won the fight for sure, but doesn't it warrant a rematch when one guy, admittedly, does very little in the first round, and when he turns it on, he makes the other guy look completely bad?
Yes.
So doesn't that just by itself warrant a rematch, man? I mean, come on.
BDA, that's why I say I don't really say he for sure won the fight. I don't say I get where you're coming from. You can definitely see where he won more rounds, but I wouldn't say he for sure, won the fight.
He won the fight. He didn't beat him. There's a
Right.
big
He didn't it was one of those. Look, and I'm not making excuses for Loma, but Loma that was the game plan. It was terrible. I mean, just call it like it is. It's like that's not a good game plan.
Ass whooping, yes or no? Ass whooping, yes or no?
No, no fucking way. Listen, when you have
ass whooping, everybody can see it. Everybody, you can't even deny an ass whooping.
When you have a bad
victory, though, yes.
When you have a bad shoulder in your boxing, it gets tired even easier when it's injured. Throw it different, you just gets more fatigued. Was he saying, was it a combination, I'm a little guy, I don't belong here anyways, so what I got to do is at least take 20% of the sting off this kid's punches, and I have a bad shoulder, and did he just let it all go to the end? It was bizarre. Whatever the mindset going in, whether it was physically driven or that was an actual game plan, it was bad. And I think, Lopez isn't stupid. If anything, he knows that. So going into the next fight, there's a reason. Listen, there's not going to be I don't see him fighting him again myself.
No, he's not. I'm with you 100%, Jimmy. There's a game plan for not fighting the second fight. I know that sounds weird, but there is a game plan to just be two things, son. You're too big, or fuck Bob Arum. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
those are the two game plans. Fuck Bob Arum, and you're too big. Remember, stick to the script.
Hey, by the way, Gonzalo,
can I ask something?
Let me. I'll let you ask it. Okay, let me just read a super chat real quick. John Gonzalez says Lopez might be stupid enough to join the PBC. He might be stupid enough to join the PBC. LOL BDA with the off-chest joke. I don't think he's gonna join the PBC. I get the joke, but there's no money there, like Jimmy keeps saying. Go ahead, Gonzalo. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jimmy, you mentioned or recognized that the Teofimo weighs around 165. Around.
He looks 165.
But what this? In my time, not that I was ever at this guy's level, but I saw things because I did see things in many levels. At that time, was weightlifting that important that nowadays these guys are lifting little weight? A lot of repetitions, not necessarily like powerlifting, but is that helping these guys? And I see Teofimo lifting weights and a lot of other, but Teofimo, I see him lifting weights. Is that benefiting these guys, or what's the deal with that? Doesn't that fucking make you slower?
This is what they're doing, right? So they're probably I haven't really seen Teofimo lift weights. I don't think Teofimo's really getting his bulk from. Yeah, he's lifting weights and shit like that, but not to use that as his boxing technique. What he's doing is just to use it to get stronger. That's it. It's just to get strong. So you have to be elusive in the ring. You can't have one thing about working out, and Jimmy would tell you this. It starts to tear your muscles, especially around the shoulders area, because that's the if you lift weights, that's the number one thing you're gonna use the most is your arms, your shoulders, and whatnot. Because everything starts from there. You're lifting from there. So he can get away with it because he's 23, okay, and he has a bodybuilder's built like fucking what's his name? Tyson Fury was right. He's like the dude's got a light heavyweight's body just on these little legs. He just said he does. Dude, go watch his last video and I think it was Fight Hype. He's hitting the bag. He's got he's got a nice crisp bald, and he's baldy. Yo, the dude looks like a little bodybuilder. He's no way.
I always thought maybe the clean and jerks will help your core out, and yes, I agree with the core. The clean and jerks, where you're not actually extending, pushing weight, but pushing a lot of weight will make you maybe a weightlifter That's why a weightlifter cannot really do good against a boxer because it'll curve your arms. It'll make them kind of like bowed,
Yes.
like bow leg, but like kind of arching, and at the same time you would telegraph your shots, and it would make you slower to where you're hitting like very heavy shots, but when you're throwing with a lot of power, like Dillian White, similar to what did, but he's just born like that. But where you're gonna throw a lot of power and you're gonna get tired. That's what I'm thinking about the weight.
Look, not on no high level, but when I used to box, well, I didn't lift weights. I wasn't really into lifting weights other than like doing the curls, and maybe some dumbbells and pull-ups, and just cardio workout. That's basically was. But the weights wasn't a big deal. Now, when I got a little older and I started messing with weights a lot, and when I would box, I noticed that I was strong, but in terms of being elusive with your hand, with your arms, it went away a little bit, just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It goes away, just that little bit where you're kind of like tight. Now, of course, these guys got way better trainers than we do, so they can do that shit and not really feel the effects. I don't think that's how he's gaining his weight. I think he's just getting naturally bigger because he's a young man.
I guess you're right because you just reminded me of something. Canelo told Ryan Garcia, because Ryan Garcia asked Canelo, "Am I gonna get slower?" And you just reminded me of something. Canelo told Ryan Garcia, "No, you're only gonna get better. You're fast already." That's all I want to know.
You're gonna have more power to the punches, and you're gonna have more power. You ever see the boxers that take some small weights and they start punching with the they'll take like 10 pounds, maybe 20. Sometimes they even go as far as 25. And
like resistance training. Resistance training. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just for speed, right? Because then you start imagining you throwing those punches without no weights, just without the weights.
That's why I always thought that the whole and a different kind of like explanation or a different principle that Deontay Wilder carried. Tyson Fury carrying the egg weight. That would make you slower, and that make you punch a little bit like less faster. That it would be obvious that even if you're carrying just a little bit, 1 or 2, 3 ounces more than what your hand naturally weighs. Nah, that's not true.
Hey, by the way, Savat came in the chat, says that Lomachenko was stupid for going in there with an injury and for not having a rematch clause. Well, for the rematch clause, I don't think he expected. Stupid, right? I don't think he expected Teofimo Lopez to say "fuck" and get the fuck out of there.
You say stupid. I just say the guy's competitive.
And by the way,
he's Lopez today is considered stupid, I guess.
It was Lopez who didn't want the. He's the one who didn't want the rematch clause. It was him who forced that in there. It wasn't Loma. He wanted.
Right? Wasn't he like talking shit to like Loma and saying, "Why you guys need a rematch clause?"
Yeah, he didn't want it. In fact, he wasn't going to make the fight if it was this. So kind of makes you think he wasn't. I don't know. Did he know something?
Even the most hardcore TFE. Oh fuck.
What the fuck? Just real quick. Because people say, that it's interesting. Lopez asked for more money before the fight. He asked for the rematch clause to be taken off. He sends his drunk father over to not attack, but verbally attack in a way Lomachenko's camp at a hotel lobby. I mean, and then people have the goal to say, well, how can you root against Lomachenko? Well, I mean against Lopez. Well, does his behavior really indicate somebody that you would root for? You know what I mean?
I mean, if you're
BDA, and never mind the language barrier.
If you're
one thing we recognize, never mind the language barrier, because truly, when you hear Lomachenko speak in his native tongue, he's kind of a gentleman, and there's no way around that. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, if you're a con artist, I can understand why you like other fucking con artists. So that's all it's about. You know? There's a lot of fucking con artists on here.
Mayweather.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised when a dude is a fucking piece of what, literally.
What's with the language?
Somebody cheering for him. I'm not shocked about that.
Yeah, that type of language, though. I mean, come on, man, come on. By the way, we got Thunderdome.
I'm just saying, like, if you're a piece of dog crap, you're gonna identify with somebody who you're gonna recognize that behavior.
Right.
No point intended.
Hey, by the way, we got Thunderdome. Hold on. We got Thunderdome jumping on. Thunderdome, thank you for being on, man. I suspect you want to say something about this whole Lopez only wanting to fight on pay-per-view now?
Yeah, sure do. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you good. Hi, what's going on, Thunder?
How's everyone doing? How's everyone on the panel doing? I don't know quite who's all on here, but
This is Jimmy. I was just saying hi to you, brother.
Hope everyone's doing good. First, I didn't hear. This is the first time I'm hearing about. He only wants to fight on pay-per-view. What makes him even think he's a pay-per-view star? Like, first, what? I don't even get that. Second, for a pay-per-view event, he's gonna have to take on tough opponents if he does want to be a pay-per-view star, since he's not quite popular enough just yet to do it on his own versus some average type guy. I don't know what the hell's going on with this kid, man. It doesn't make any sense.
His dad's inflating his head.
Are you talking about TFB, Mo? Because I cut out.
Yes.
Yep.
Look, I mean, it's one of them guys. You know that guy. One of your mates. He gets a win on the PlayStation against you, and he's just holding on to that victory for as long as he can. He won't rematch you. He's one of them, isn't he? He's one of them that holds
like it. I mean, if he won't even rematch Lomachenko, which is the fight the fans want, that or Devin Haney, and that's probably not likely to happen. Loma's a very easy big fight to make, and he won't take it. So what the fuck is this kid thinking? Like, what's?
I think
I think he wants to turn off I think he wants to turn off hardcore fans. Sorry, Stu.
I think he's a smart kid, TFB, Mo. The thing is, when you fight like elite fighters, you might get a win out of them once in a while, but to get two out of them is a big ask, because world-class fighters make adjustments. They come back with a new guy, and they're hungry, and they usually come back, and it's going to be if he thought that fight was tough the last time, wait till he fights a rematch. He's not a stupid kid. He's probably thinking, I've got my win. Let's play on it a little bit and try and get a big payday with someone else. Because, like I said, if he goes in there with
nothing he can do. Exactly. I said you're right. There's nothing he can do. I don't see him doing any adjustments. I think he tied it all in that night. I think he fought at his absolute best.
Exactly.
Whereas I don't think Lomachenko was at his best at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's like what? I'm sorry, but there's nothing else the kid could do. That's like you said. That was the best he's ever performed. He brought everything he's ever shown. And, that was it. There's nothing. Look, we know this kid's style forever. Like, he's always had certain problems and certain weaknesses and certain strengths. It's never changed. I don't see the kid adjusting. I don't think he can really adjust, except maybe be a bit more aggressive or something like that. Learn to cut the ring off, maybe. That'd probably be the only adjustment I could really see him doing.
It reminds me of Danny Garcia. And what I mean by this is he's mainly a counterpuncher. There's not a lot of work of combination punching and putting things together and getting a lot of work done, building up to something. He's either explosive with the counterpunch knockout or he pot shots a guy until he wins, is what I've seen so far. That's exactly what Danny was. And so he might be tough enough to be able to go the distance with a lot of guys and get a whole bunch of guys, tough fights all the way up to welterweight. But lightweight may be his cap where he's big enough to where he can explosively knock these guys out. 140, he may not be able to do that. 147, I doubt he will do that.
Yeah.
Well, 135 Thunderdome. I got a good question. What if he holds off the fort? What if he holds the fort down like he did in the first fight? But if Lomachenko presses early, then Teofimo might get tired. To where in the latter rounds, Lomachenko might get the beat on him and might be prevailing. Would Teofimo still be able to hold the fort down with the more aggressive Lomachenko? And if he did, could he keep up with Lomachenko on the later rounds?
Yeah, see, the problem with Lomachenko, I've had for a while now with Lomachenko, as much as he's a great fighter and he does things that are amazing, but I find an arrogance in his performances sometimes. And
no, but my question...
I know what you mean.
Let me finish, Gonzalo, man. I've barely spoke all night, bro. Let me finish, right? There's an arrogance about Lomachenko's performances that I've seen recently. I mean, he's been pulling out these wins, scraping them by like I said, Pedraza. He had to go in the pocket and take it to a dogfight because and Linares the same, Luke Campbell the same. There was just a cockiness where he thought he could stroll around doing nothing for 5 or 6 rounds and then turn. You can't do that at the top of the boxing. And it was. I found out. I thought Lomachenko was going to get beat anytime soon anyway, not by getting destroyed, by poor tactics, and I think that's how it worked out in the end. I think even look, I don't listen
sorry,
to injuries.
Stu. Sorry, I apologize. Hey, put some respect on Stu's name. Put some respect on Stu.
Well, hold on. But Gonzalo did have a question for Thunderdome. That was the thing, because he'd asked Thunderdome something.
Yeah, but like I said, I was talking, man. Fucking talking. What do you mean?
I apologize, Stu.
I'm just saying. If that's all you.
No, I'm getting fucking sick and tired. I'm sick and getting tired of these fucking punk asses like Kevin, because I didn't have a problem with them calling you out for no fucking reason.
All right, let's take it easy. He's not here right now. He's not here right now.
No, look. No, listen. Look. Gonzalo's my boy, man. I'll always back Gonzalo, but I just wanted to get this point across because that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of Lomachenko fans on this chat that got to realise that this fucking guy brought that defeat on himself. That's just my point.
That's a good point.
I'm not having injuries. I'm not taking the injury. If he turned up in the ring that night, I don't care what injury. He could have had a fucking torn hamstring and a fucking broken collarbone. It wouldn't mean shit to me. He turned up. That's it. He turned up, got his ass whooped. Simple as that. Well, I didn't get his ass whooped because
I was gonna say. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Stu, about the arrogance in his performances. You're absolutely correct on that. But real quick, look to go on to Gonzalo's question. First off, Tio won the boxing match. Loma won the fight. So when it comes down to, let's say Tio gets a bit more aggressive, I still think Loma would be able to avoid him for a few rounds, still take a bit of steam off of him if he needed to do that, get his beat down, whatever. But once the fight broke out, I still don't see much changing in that. I still think Loma would start to really take him apart, especially I wholeheartedly believe that there was something wrong with his shoulder for sure. I mean, obviously he had surgery, but there was moments where he could have fired the shot and it just didn't come out. Very short, straight shots.
Is that Thunderdome? Is that Thunderdome talking?
Yes.
Thunderdome, my brethren, my boy. How you going on? What's happening, my man? I didn't realise. I said you Americans all sound the same to me, so I wasn't sure.
It's mutual.
Yeah, but can I say? I gotta say something about scraping. I gotta say something. What Stu said when you said he was scraping by. I think I know what you mean, but I disagree about the scraping because he was out schooling. Well, not schooling, but he was out pointing Pedraza from the outside too. And then when he stepped, but I understand. Like even against Campbell and Pedraza, he did take his time early on, and didn't turn it up until about this 8th round, I believe, or something. So I understand what you're saying. It's he brought it onto himself, the waiting. He thought he was going to be able to do that against Lopez, and Lopez was better than Pedraza and Campbell, or at least had better weapons. So yeah, he kind of screwed up there. But why no rematch then? Because look, if he starts out earlier, okay, maybe Lomachenko gets knocked out, but I'd pay to see that type of fight. That's what I'd be intrigued by. If he gets knocked out, boom, it's an interesting result. And if he doesn't, who knows what happens? But there's no reason why they shouldn't make a rematch.
Do what Antonio Tarver did, right? Go, say, I don't want to hear no excuses. Let's fight it. Let's fight a second fight. Let's see how you come out. If it was your shoulder, there's many ways the young kid could handle this. But like saying I'm not gonna fight him. Look, I know that boxing is a business strategy, right? It's all about the money, and I get it to a certain point. But like, you had to go out of your way to get overpaid, right? You got to take a chance with this Triller company that this event turns out to be to be a success, instead of taking the Lomachenko fight and selling yourself as, look, I'm the guy who beat Lomachenko. For undisputed for all the marbles.
Look, this rematch, the rematch not happening anyway. If it doesn't, which I totally think it will never happen, is gonna haunt Tio for years, if not always. Over his legacy, like just always. He didn't do it. He didn't rematch Loma.
Thunderdome.
He should not want that following him.
No,
It's going to hurt him a
Thunderdome, I
lot
agree
more if he moves up
100%
to
with you,
140 and
brother.
loses.
Hold on.
What was that,
Jimmy,
Jay?
go ahead. Jimmy.
No, I was going to say I agree 100% with Thunderdome. How you doing, Thunderdomes, Jimmy? What's going on, buddy?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, you know, every day above ground's a good day, right, kid?
Yeah, that's about right.
But yeah, no, I agree. I don't see this fight. I'd be surprised if it happens again, but that's just not a good look, especially if he campaigns at that weight. If he leaves at 140, then you know he bounced. But if he campaigns there and doesn't fight him, bad look.
Guys, I just want to say something quickly. I'm with you guys. Like, it looks bad on Lomachenko. On Teofimo Lopez for not taking a rematch. But from what I've seen from other YouTube boxing, from the YouTube boxing community, a lot of people don't care about that rematch. It's like in their heads, Teofimo Lopez clearly dominated Lomachenko, and there's no need for a rematch. That's
because they hate Lomachenko.
Yeah, exactly. That's not actual boxing fans. Like the guys I'm
Those are
talking to
ideologues.
offline. Yeah, guys I'm talking to offline, like that.
Look, I give
things like that. Just local gym warriors and stuff that are also boxing fans. Yeah, they really want to see that rematch.
I think Teofimo, I give him a really good chance to beat him again if they were to fight again. But I want to see it, right? I want to see if it's true. Lomachenko, for me, has questions to answer too. I want to see if all this is true, that your whole game plan was because of your shoulder. Which I'm not saying, I'm not calling him a liar. I just want to see it. I want to see if the kid is 100%.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. My problem with Lomachenko is that he does a whole lot of nothing. If you get what I'm saying, when you watch Lomachenko fight, you see flashes of brilliance and flashes of nothing. Where he's going around, moving around. He's looking good on his feet and he's looking pretty, but he's doing fucking nothing. And this is the hurt business. This is not fucking dancing with the stars. At the end of the day, this is about punching people in the face. And Lomachenko forgets that sometimes. He's worried about looking like fucking Torval and Dean on the ice rink. Do you know what I mean? Get out of here, man.
Yeah, but I guess
Be careful. Be careful.
He
Sorry,
was.
go ahead,
Stu,
go ahead.
he didn't let his hands go against Teofimo Lopez for a reason. I think that's a mistake.
He should have turned up. I don't want to hear excuses about shoulder. I don't take excuses in boxing rings. I don't. If a fighter turns up, then he's all good to take an ass whooping. I don't give a fuck if he's sitting there with a missing limb. I don't give a shit. He turned up. He beat him.
I don't think it should be called an excuse.
I've noticed.
It's just like
I've noticed this about some fighters, and there's levels and there's skills in the game, to where when one fighter, like a power puncher, for example, shows vulnerabilities, that you might not be the most powerful puncher, but you got skills and you get take over at a certain point, not at one point, but at a certain point, when that other fighter starts giving in. Man, it's gonna go downhill for you after that guy that couldn't deal with you one moment before, but a moment after he got the beat on you. Now you have to deal with him. It turns the tables. That's the thing about fighting, man. It's like balancing the table. Sometimes the less powerful guy that got the skills is just waiting to pounce on you.
When Loma let his hands go, he was winning. He was winning the fight. When he let his hands go, he was actually winning the fight.
We got to be real about
Hey, I've always said, listen, boys, I've always said Lomachenko, right? I think he's an overrated boxer and an underrated fighter, if you get what I'm saying. I think this is the problem with a lot of boxing fans. They see flashy footwork and slick punches, and they get hard on. Let's be real. But let's be real. When you're looking, there's nothing really going on. I'd rather see a fighter hit someone with a nice, clean, accurate punch than slip a punch and hit with an average shot sort of thing. Just say, with Lomachenko, like I said, I think he's very when he tries to box these guys at 135, he's getting outboxed at range. He's struggling.
Agree.
He's struggling to outbox these guys from range. It's only when he gets in the pocket
he beats the shit out of them.
He beats the shit out of these guys. This is why this is the thing of the arrogance of Lomachenko. He thinks all he's got to do is turn up, look pretty on his feet, throw slick jabs, and he's going to get the no. Do what you do best, Lomachenko. Take it into the pocket and take these people's souls, because that's what he does. He's a soul taker, but he's wrapped up in looking pretty for the cameras, and he's letting these fights get a lot closer than they should be. And you know,
outboxing from the outside against the guy who's taller and longer limbed than you.
Luke Campbell
Yeah,
shouldn't
exactly.
be winning a
How
round
long is he
against.
going to talk, for God's sake?
All right.
Luke Campbell should be winning a round.
All right, Stu.
Does anybody else get a turn
All
tonight?
right, hold on.
What?
Stu,
Oh,
you
Pete,
know
is
that
that it's like Pete crying again. Shut up.
No, Stu, you know, like Lomachenko shouldn't even be at 135, right? Like we understand that he's doing something that other boxers don't do. Like they are fighting out of their comfort zone, basically.
It doesn't matter. Hey, look, I don't give a fuck if Lomachenko goes to heavyweight and gets knocked the fuck out. That's his choice. But at the end of the day, right, do what you do best. And Lomachenko, believe it or not, everyone thinks he's this matrix. Yes, he's very skillful. He looks great. Some of the stuff he does, his footwork, his pivoting and stuff. Yeah, great. But this is the hurt business. Do what you do best. And I think Lomachenko is a lot better fighter than he is a boxer. And I think Recognize agrees with me. He's said that many times.
All right,
I actually do too, but the way you put it like that, I back that statement.
Look, real quick, just about the excuses thing with the shoulder. That Loma is not the one who brought that up. He didn't bring it up. Whoever got the information somehow, whoever that, the guy holding the mic that interviewed him post-fight, they brought it up. Now he did. I guess he was honest that he did have a shoulder injury, and it was, he notified VADA and the commission about it, and maybe he would have brought it up on his own. Who knows? But he didn't. So it's not. He was.
What he did is
going to keep it quiet.
Well, Thunderdome, what he didn't use it as an excuse. What he did is he just tweeted out on his Instagram page the day of his surgery, which was within 48 hours. He just, tweeted out, Instagram, I don't know what they call it, but a picture of himself in the hospital giving a peace sign. But he didn't use an excuse, just said, in for surgery today on the shoulder. And they took it and ran. And then because it was that, I guess some reporters asked about it. But it wasn't like he was using it as an excuse. Exactly. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. But even before that, after the fight, while he was like walking back to his locker room, one of the ESPN guys came up to him with a camera and mic and stuff and put the question out to him. So rumors were that you had a shoulder injury. That's where it first came out. The tweet or whatever it was with the photograph, that was
exactly after the surgery. Yeah, because listen, you can't schedule a surgery. I don't care even if you're Lomachenko. Doctors don't care. A top orthopedic surgeon, you're a boxer. I don't, most likely doesn't follow it. But regardless, my point is you just can't call up on a Saturday night. Yeah, I'm ready for that. You guys doing anything Saturday? Monday? That shit was booked weeks in advance. So that was scheduled for surgery. He knew that going into the fight.
Exactly, Jimmy. And then the day, right? And then the day, if you make that decision, then it's like, I don't want to hear excuses. You're the one that turned up, took your money. If you take that money, then I don't want to hear excuses.
Yeah, but he didn't make an excuse. That's the thing. He didn't even bring it up. It was brought to him.
Oh, no, he did. Thunderdome, he did, brother. He did. He come out and said he was making excuses about the judges and his shoulder and stuff. He did, bro.
After it was brought up. I'm just saying he wasn't the first person to bring it up. Like, it was brought to him.
No.
And by the way, can I just say
Mayweather
something?
after the Castillo fight or the Pacquiao after the Mayweather fight, immediately first words out of their mouth, my shoulder was hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
What Thunderdome said.
Yeah.
And by the way, can I also say something? Listen, speaking of at the end of the day, whether he would have kept or his management would have kept the whole shoulder thing quiet, I still would want to see a rematch based on the fact that it was clearly Lomachenko's decision to not press the action in the early round. So now you're thinking, okay, well, what if he comes in there with a different game plan? Because not for nothing, but you got to give Lomachenko credit for his ring IQ. He's a type of guy that you don't really want to give a second shot at, because he just might figure you out. So there's a lot of unanswered questions for a rematch, but I think warrants a rematch. But evidently, Teofimo Lopez doesn't want it. By the way, shout out to John Gonzalez for his... Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick.
Super chat, yes.
Yes. Shout out to John Gonzalez for his contribution. He says Teofimo's dad is a piece of BDA. Respect to Anthony. Hey, wait a minute. So he's saying that I'm a piece of shit. That's what he's saying. A piece of BDA. Shout out to John, but I don't appreciate that type of language. But thank you, John, for your contribution. All right, go ahead.
Around.
Go ahead, Gonzalez. Go ahead.
Well, okay, for a normal fighter, even if you got two top tier like elite fighters facing each other. Like Chocolatito de Estrada, even on the rematch. But let's say the first fight, where you're trying to figure yourself out, you're gonna take like a couple rounds, maybe 3 rounds, the study rounds. Lomachenko's traditionally known for being a slow starter because he's downloading the information in the matrix to later, do what he's gonna do. Now he took maybe some extra rounds to where he never really got rolling until like the 7th round. Now,
Yeah.
in the rematch, you think he can get started early? You think he can get started early? Was it most like a physical thing that Lomachenko is just a big guy? Now, if he does get started early, is he gonna give away more in the championship rounds and the 11th and the 12th to where he get?
No, he just had to turn it up to a 10 in like the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. So that's the reason he gassed a little bit.
The thing is, Thunderdome, it's like this is why I get so mad with Joe Gallagher and his game plan to lose the first day. I mean, the day you cannot like throw away all them rounds and just have an arrogance about you where you think you can pull them back. It's
terrible.
When you're at the world class, but I think it was Fight Scout, and I think official said it in the chat. He said it very well. The problem with Loma, every round he was in was close, so it weren't like he was. It weren't like he was dominating these rounds. So even though and because he's 5 rounds, 6 rounds behind, or 5 rounds in some people's, he's playing catch up. And when you're playing catch up, you can only afford to throw away 1 round here or there. We have 1 bad round, and let's be real, he had a bad round in the 12th. And it's all the thing with boxing is judges always having a good 12th round is very important in boxing because judges forget what happened before that. They remember the 12 very clearly, and when it's a close fight, that could be the difference between getting a win and not. And this is why, look, I'm a Lomachenko fan. I put him higher. I put him higher than Crawford in the pound for pound list at one time. But when all these fans were saying, "Oh, Loma should fight Crawford," I mean, Crawford would beat the brakes off of Lomachenko. Size and look, if Lomachenko can't get inside Pedraza and people like that, what he ain't getting? He's getting nowhere near Crawford.
You can never catch.
Size matters in boxing. Lomachenko.
That's 3 divisions above.
Yeah,
exactly, bro. This is what. Yeah, exactly, and this is one point. Size matters in boxing. When you're playing at the top of the game and you're fighting fighters at the top of their game in 3 divisions above, then I couldn't sit.
Well, pound for pound, I think that Lomachenko is the best guy compared to the skills, even to include the punching power that anybody can offer in a certain weight division at 35. Lomachenko's the big cat. He's a big guy. Lomachenko's always going to be more skilled than Haney. Ryan Garcia beat Campbell, you could make a case for Ryan Garcia that he beat Campbell more definitively than what Lomachenko did because size makes a difference. But skill for skill, pound for pound, Lomachenko's a great fighter. Now, when when you include size, that's the big question. And I'm not disregarding Lomachenko's skill. I'm always going to hold him in the highest regard ever. Not that I'm being a fanboy for Lomachenko, but when it comes to size, that's the determining factor. And a lot of people get that confused, but let's talk about that. Let's talk about the size. This not under Ray Lomachenko.
Yeah, pound for pound. I mean, Loma's hands down the guy at 35. I mean, he's beating guys up several to many pounds bigger than him. So, I mean, pound for pound, absolutely. I mean, I'd even say skill for skill. He, the best there, too.
But this is why, when you're giving away that sort of range and sort of size, like to outbox, like Manny Pacquiao, I mean, he would do it, but he was using speed and like I said, against slow guys, and in the day, Teofimo was a big guy, had speed as well. And it's just very hard to get inside them sort of guys. Long arms, very crisp with their straight punches. Lomachenko was struggling at range. And it has done a few times. I mean, like I said, Campbell shouldn't have won a round against that fucking guy. But yeah, he kept it at range, and Campbell was suited at that. As soon as he took it into the pocket, he takes souls. And I don't understand why he don't do it a bit more. Look what it was Salido. It was Salido. The 10th round, he decided to put it on Salido, and Salido was getting the brakes beat off him.
Yeah.
That was a big. But when you decide to sign on the dotted line and you open up the floodgates to find in that division, and then all of a sudden things change, Look, Chavez was a great fighter. I mean, he bought a lot of tomato cans. He fought some great fighters, but we can agree that he was a good fighter. But then when he stepped to welterweight, that's
He's a
not the
great
same as
fighter.
fighting at lightweight.
That's true.
Lomachenko. What's Lomachenko?
All right,
What's
but
the
listen,
deal,
let
man?
me
He's a great-
listen. At the end of the day, well, I don't know if Lopez is gonna fight this guy. Hopefully, he does. Jay, you want to say something? Sorry.
Well, to call Chavez a good fighter is like a blasphemy. He was a great fighter. He was not a junior welterweight.
he was a good
and he was.
fighter.
I'm not done.
He
I'm not done.
wasn't-
I'm not done. I've waited 30 minutes to talk. Please let me finish. He was doing what Lomachenko's doing at lightweight. He was beating up guys that were bigger than him. He wasn't, but the power's not there the same way. And so, like Stu said, so you're not. Chavez could box at 135. He did box some. He outboxed
Triple J, but being a good fighter.
Gonzalo.
No, I gotta say something.
Gonzalo, let Jay speak. Gonzalo, you gotta let Jay go, man.
Let Jay.
Well, good night.
Go ahead, Jay.
He left, man. Fuck. All right. Well, Gonzalo, man, you can just.
Jay, come back on. Jay, come back on and get your point across, mate. This is the BDA. It gets a bit toxic sometimes. We get a bit overpowering. So just come back on, and get your point, man. There's no point just running off like that. Come on, man.
Well, listen, if he feels he's got to go, I mean, but yeah, come back, Jay. I mean, we want to hear what you had to say. Meanwhile, I'll take this opportunity.
Let Jay say his piece when he does come on, because he's a good addition.
I mean, sorry, BDA, I'm sorry that he had to go down. I'm not gonna apologize too much. He better come back. We're gonna bite on my words. Chavez was a good fighter.
All right. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds here, Gonzalo. Give me 2 seconds. John Gonzalez donated the super chat. Says, I understand taking 2-3 rounds off, but half the fight is unacceptable. All right. Shout out to John Gonzalez. Shout out to Jason Bornsky, who donated the super chat as well. He says, I've always thought Loma is a bit overrated, and can someone on the panel please put a muzzle on the blood from... Okay, he's going after Stu now.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, man. Hey, Chavez... No, let me say something. Chavez was a good fighter. He can chuck and jive in the pocket. He can keep it relaxed and still beat you down. He was also a good fight. He was also a great fighter. But he was a good fighter. Good as solid. If you're solid, you're solid. Is that a disparaging comment?
No,
it's disparaging. Nah, man, I don't care, man. I'll fucking kick off this show, man. He was a good fighter. He was a solid fighter. He was also a great fighter if he had to turn it up. But is good bad? That's not a disparaging. When was fucking being good bad? Come on, man.
This is what happens when you start talking Chavez with a Mexican. Go ahead, Stu.
That's right.
Jason Bourne, right? Jason Bourne can say what he likes, get the English guy off. But this English guy has made your life a misery for the last 6 months. You've been begging to come back on here. Oh, Stuart took my BDA life away from me. You're a fucking loser, bro.
Get the fuck out of here. You call somebody good, you're a pussy? Nah, you're good, you're solid. You can deal with anybody. If you're good, you're fucking badass.
No, he's talking about Jason Bourne. He's talking about Jason Bourne. He's not talking about... All right, listen.
I'm talking about Jack Gonzalez.
Nah, man, but I'm telling you, how is good being disparaging?
No, it was miscommunication, Gonzalo.
Gonzalo, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm talking about Jason Bourne.
It's very simple. Hey, goody two shoes, Mr. Goodrich.
Right,
how is good at disparaging?
All right, we gotta go soon. So I can't have.
Can someone tell me what the fuck? Can someone tell me what the fuck just happened there? Gonzalo's
I don't know.
Gonzalo's been his spirit has been fucking overtaken by some.
Listen, Gonzalo's he's going through some rough patch right now with things.
I love Gonzalo. I don't really get. I was talking about Jason Bourne. I have no idea what he's talking about. But Jason Bourne, seriously, bro, just give it a rest. I mean, if you want to come back on the show, I'm quite happy for you to come back in the chat. But you keep coming back and keep calling me names. At the end of the day, mate, you know, let it go.
He's doing Kevin's job.
You're never going to win. You're not going to win against me on this show. You're going to lose every time.
He's doing Kevin's job.
Oh, jeez.
Kevin isn't here today. You know, I mean, somebody has to do it.
Well, listen, I also wanted to bring up something here.
Chavez was a great fighter, by the way. I got to say that.
Regis Prograis.
Thank you. That's going to go on the review that's going to be coming out. Your review.
And Gonzalo, get Gonzalo back on. What the fuck, Gonzalo? Come back on. Stop being stupid. What is it with everyone putting the phone down tonight, man?
I want Jay to come back too. I want Jay to come back. Well, listen. Here's the deal with this fucking show. You gotta take your turn too, man. Because I can't. I'm not used to anymore. I lost that discipline of telling people, okay, you go next. Okay, you go next. You gotta jump in too, man. By the way, speaking of jumping in, shout out to Viking. Now I'm jumping in. Viking Brutal says, shout out to him for his contribution. He says Loma was countering Teo's counters left and right after the 7th round. Sometimes world-class fighters have bad game plans. I don't see Teo winning the rematch. Well, there you go. Shout out to Viking Burial for his contribution. All right, go ahead, Stu. You want to say something?
I was just saying about it's obviously Saturday night. Everyone's had a fucking few too many jars. On this show, this is a no holds barred. You have to like fight your way in because there's no manners or no respect around here. You have to be a bit of a piece of shit to get your point across. It's a bit like you have to let Chong Lee someone's ass, fucking stamp on their head and take their headband off and to get a fucking word in on this show.
You gotta be Don King. You gotta curb stomp somebody. But look,
I've met Chavez more than in one occasion, and I could reach out to him right now. To mention that he's good is not disparaging. To mention he's good as Peter, so
Gonzalo, it's a miscommunication. You're harping on this point
we're
too
moving
long.
on. No more.
Yeah, we're
no
moving
more
on. No more Chavez talk.
Oh, but am I harping or who's fucking ragging on me? Come on,
nobody's ragging on it.
Gonzalo, that's it, man. We don't touch
Chavez, Rob Meldrick, Taylor.
No. We're not gonna get into it. We're not gonna get into fucking Taylor Chavez. No. We're not gonna get into it.
Bucho said that's it.
We're not gonna get into
that's it, man.
We're not gonna get into Taylor. By the way, what the fuck? What the fuck? Revolucion now jumps in. I don't like a wrestler. He comes in. I don't know where. Revolucion, what's up, man?
What's going on here? Who wants to wrestle? Who wants to wrestle?
Hey, yo, I'm here to call out a couple people. First of all, it's Revolution. What up, baby? What up, everybody? Hey, yo.
Oh, look, it's the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Hey, no, ain't the Heartbreak Kid. It's the Heartbreak Man now, baby. I just turned 30. Yesterday was my birthday, and
it's all downhill from here, bro.
Yeah,
you're a young man.
I am a
young man, bro.
But a man nonetheless.
You're 5'9"
Yeah,
and Revolution. I gotta say one thing. When I was in the military, when I used to fucking fight the UFC guys, because a lot more the UFC got popular because Gracie sees those guys. I was wrestling that motherfucker. I used to beat them, dude. They say, Gonzalo, you're a boxer, but no, I was a tough fucking wrestler.
The ground too. You'll take them to the ground. Take him to the air, wherever you gotta be.
I pin him and take the air out of him. Go ahead.
All right. We don't know this starts looking into porn.
I was gonna say I could join the old man piss and moan club along with Stu and Recognize now. Finally.
That's right. All right, now hold on. We got Jay back. Let Jay talk. Go ahead, Jay.
No, first of all, I apologize that you guys let me on this show, and it was unprofessional of me to jump off that way. Gonzalo, there's no hard feelings there. I was in the middle of saying something, and you kept interrupting, and I got frustrated and hung up the phone. That was shitty.
I'm sorry, Jay.
That's okay. And I listened to a little bit afterwards. We had a miscommunication. I'll hit you up on Discord when our chats during the week, and I'll explain what I meant. So that's all I got for now. I'm willing to listen. Revolution's on. He's got the floor.
All right, baby, and it's a dance floor DJ. Fucking
don't call me baby.
What the fuck are you talking about?
All right, my boy.
All right, girls.
Hey, man, I was at work, man. I'm a line chef, right? I was at work. Dude, the fucking chefs almost got in a fight.
Nice.
They was like really about to go outside, dude. And they immigrants, man. You got Italians versus Ecuadorians. It was like a little boxing match right there. I was seeing the nationalities going at it.
Damn, one guy looked like Nino Ben. Good.
I've been there before.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, line me up some Salvadorans or some fucking Ecuadorians or some Honduras, man. I'm fucking ready to get at those guys.
Shut up. Hey, man, look, this is what it's all about. Maybe you guys can help me because y'all speak Spanish. The motherfucking the Ecuadorian, right? He's always saying shit, calling us like puñeta and shit like that.
Oh boy.
Chinga tu madre. You say chinga tu madre.
Chinga tu madre. I gotta sit back. Okay. I don't know my Spanish.
Mr. BDA said everything south of the border from fucking North America down. That's fucking fair game.
No, I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that. But Gonzalo's putting words in my mouth. No, but you know what you say, Revolucion? You go up to the guy and you go, te la meto cruda y me amas, pendeja. That's what you tell the motherfucker. Although I don't know if he's going to understand because he's from Ecuador, so...
Oh, wait, that's what Mike Tyson said, huh? Te la mete cruda...
Well, he didn't say...
How the hell did you know?
Well, Revolucion speaks Spanish, right? A little bit. He understands Spanish. Now, listen.
Did I get it right? What did you say?
Well, I said I'll put it in raw and you'll love me. That's what it's in Spanish.
Yeah.
But
Okay, that's pretty close to what Tyson said. All right.
Except said in English.
He just threw a little down there.
You could tell them no palo americano.
Can I tell a C story real quick?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm down in Key West, stationed with this kid out of Puerto Rico. He barely speaks English, but he speaks just enough to get by. And he brings his wife on board the ship to introduce her to everybody. So at the same time, on a side note, this is about. So he used to go around saying, "My name is," and he'd say "Giacomo Chocha."
Oh,
so
Jesus.
I had no. Yeah, you guys are all saying this because you know what it means. I didn't know what it meant at the time. So he says, "Hey, tell my wife what my name is." So obviously, I went out and said it, and she slaps the shit out of me, and he's laughing his ass off. Just laughing. It's like, what the hell did I do? And he's like, do you know what that means? You're saying it all the time. I don't know what it means. Of course, he explained it to me. Those of you that speak Spanish know what it means and why she was mad. But he set me up like that.
Yeah, you don't want to trust.
And I walked right into it.
You don't want to trust Ecuadorians, Mexicans,
Don't ever fucking do that.
Yeah. And by the way, Jay,
don't ever when somebody says, "Hey, say this in this language," this person will laugh. Don't ever do it. You get in trouble.
The reason why I want to say a little something here real quick.
Panama Canal open.
Yeah, that's right. But the reason why I tiptoe around Jay is because when he told that story that he was at an amateur, I forget which fight he was at, and he was with his wife or fiance at the time, and Fernando Vargas was hitting on her, and Jay stepped to the Amateur, yeah.
Yeah, I told him to step outside.
You're a fucking psycho,
man. You may have beaten Brandon Mitchum on a gift decision to make the Olympic team, but my ring's outside.
Did you actually tell him that he got a gift decision to make it to the Olympics?
Oh yeah, everybody that saw the fight knew he got it. I mean, Eddie Futch, who I met outside of the Olympics in Atlanta, he picked up Brandon as one of his last trainees. He even said that Brandon should have won that fight. Vargas knew the fact that he got a gift decision because they wanted him on the Olympic team. They didn't want Brandon.
Damn, that's an interesting story right there, man. I heard Vargas almost cussed her.
It's on.
Hey, Triple J, Brandon who, to clarify that?
Brandon Mitchum.
Oh, yeah,
he's from North Carolina. Okay. He fought out of Augusta, Georgia. That fight is on YouTube. Just look up Mitchum versus Vargas. It's on there.
I saw it last night.
And who do you think won that one?
Vargas.
Okay, we disagree.
You know what, though? I know what people are going to say now, man. People are going to say, oh, Gonzalo, he's always going with the Mexican. Actually, why am I doing a Mexican accent for that? Anyway, listen, the point is, it's interesting. I didn't know you met...
No, because I read your comments. That's why I saw it, because you placed the comments on the chat. Not that all of a sudden, but because I'm listening to you. Yes.
I'm reading... Hey, I wrote Fernando Vargas versus Mitchum. How do you spell his name, Mitchum? Because I'm not seeing any results for that fight.
Mitchem.
EM. Okay, because I wrote with a U.
EM. Echo Mike.
Oh, there it is. All right, so people look it up. I'm going to watch it. And there it is, Mitchum versus Vargas. All right, I'm going to catch that one. All right, listen, fellas, we're going to call it a night. By the way, Thunderdome, are you going live tonight for the UFC card?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. So check out Thunderdome stream. I didn't know you got into MMA as well.
Whenever I walked away from boxing, I needed some kind of, combat. So yeah, I was still watching boxing, obviously, but yeah, I started dipping my toe into UFC as well. I'm still, total fucking noob over there, but yeah.
I will say one thing, I don't watch many channels and enjoy listening to many channels when it comes to boxing. There's a few I'll enjoy. But yours is one of them, bro. You keep doing what you're doing when it comes to the boxing. I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, man. Really do.
It's crazy that you're dipping your toe, but then in the UFC you gotta kind of square yourself up. It's not a pure sport that you.
All right. Well, listen, yeah, it's a different thing. MMA, obviously, the stance and all that. Well, listen, we do have to go.
But
go ahead, Jimmy.
No, I just wanted to say, props. I'm right with. No,
you're cutting off, Jimmy. You're cutting off, Jimmy.
Jimmy, go ahead. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh, no. I was cutting off.
You're cutting off. Yeah, I don't know why. You're fading away.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I wanted to tell Thunderdome.
Well, he'll never hear it because you. You're fading away, man.
Thunderdome blank.
Well, anyway, listen.
It's BDA. It's a different stance, and the punches. Well, the kicks are raining in from a different position. Mind you, the punches.
That's right.
Right. Different sport.
Listen, we're gonna go. Thunderdome, stay on the line because I gotta say something. I gotta tell you something. We gotta talk about some of the things that have been going on with the boxing world, and that's about it, fellas. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Don't leave the super chat. I'm talking about. Hold on a second, real quick. I can't see the chats anymore. What the fuck is up with this new YouTube feature? Anyway, no, actually, hold on. Give me 2 seconds because I do want to read people's super chats. No, it won't let me.
I'm staying on the line too.
Everybody that donated with the super chat, thank you guys. Everybody, you guys who know who you are. Everybody that called in, everybody in the panel right now, everybody in the chat, Thunderdome, Hawker Mustangs, Too Little, Triple JJJ, Tadeo Martinez, Jeff Lucieda, and many more. Official Scorecard Boxing. Check out Official Scorecard channel, the Coup d'etat Boxing. Black